Yeah.
Were you trying to add your own little flavor to get another remix going with that one?
No, I took a sip of my beverage and it made me go, ooh,
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the random stream. I guess not so random. It's a Monday night. Sometimes I stream on Monday.
I was going to say you scheduled your hours in advance. It's definitely random.
So it's not random. I guess not. Anyway, we're going to be talking about, if you're watching this on playback, we're going to be talking about Deadpool and Wolverine sales. Because it seems to be doing quite well. What that means for Disney. We're going to talk about some of the bad takes that people had before, or I guess bad scoops that some people had before the movie was released. So there's going to be a lot of spoilers. So spoiler alert for that. I mean, it's been 2 weekends. I feel like we're in the.
Don't you feel like
that's a good time? Like 2 weeks is a good time to.
Well, yeah. It just exited its second weekend. I mean, if you haven't seen the movie now, then you probably don't care.
Yeah.
Or someone else's spot. I mean, if you're watching this stream, it's on YouTube. I'm sure YouTube or Twitter or TikTok. I
think every spoiler has been put out there now at this point. So,
but did you want to do the ranking thing for the X-Men movies as well?
I was gonna say, do you have that already? Do you have like the?
I have it somewhere.
What is it called? The tier maker, whatever the hell it is.
I wrote my thing. Here we go. I know I wrote it. I was trying to see if because now I'm able to.
We will do that after we talk about all the stories, so that way we can clip that out.
It's 14. Video. I didn't realize there was so many. I was like,
yeah. Actually, let me see if there's got to be a tier maker for that, right?
Maybe, but someone might not have included the old ones.
Hold on, let me see.
Not the older ones. Sorry, the newer ones.
See what it's got. X-Men all movies. How many's on here? They're 14, right? Total.
Yeah, 14, but that's including Deadpool and Wolverine.
So here's one that has 13, not including Deadpool and Wolverine.
Yeah, so you can just slot it where you.
Yeah. So we'll use this when we'll get to that point. I'll pull it up and we'll do it on here. All right. So I'll keep that open. So we can do that at the end of this, and then we'll clip it out as a separate video as well, because I'm sure this video will get struck for something. We have a little clip from James Gunn that's probably going to go viral within the next day or so. What else do I have? Some David Ayer stuff that you sent me earlier. I think it'd be funny to talk about that briefly. So anyway, it's just going to be a conversation stream tonight, and then we'll do like an X-Men ranking at the end.
Deja fucking vu.
Thank you, South Texas Shark, for being a Team Airrick member. Good to see you. Good to see everybody, really. Fetman, Canada Graphs is here. Abdi, Feather Guardian, King Mike. I haven't seen King Mike in forever. Maybe I just haven't been paying attention to the chat. And Newswire Podcast. What's up? So, Abdi, I'm halfway through the series right now. I've had other stuff I've been working on. Have you seen the Cape Crusader cartoon?
You know the answer.
Yes, of course. You watched it all twice already. So,
for those that don't understand, there is no.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, though. I have not seen anything on social media like trying to advertise the show in regards to a fan thing. It's just people complaining that they made like Harley Quinn Asian and like who was it? There's a character that's like
penguin. There's a
and then there's Penguin's a woman, and then there's like a chunky lesbian or something. They made like a character. It's just like that's all I'm saying. It's just multiple.
Yeah.
Bad.
But the thing is, the show is good. That's the thing is the show is good.
Like I haven't seen a tweet about Batman. I haven't seen. Actually, sorry, I saw one, and it's a meme, and it's like young Batman or young Bruce in a door frame looking like he shot the bed. Like.
So okay.
That's it.
So I mean, again, I'm halfway through it. It's not a bad series. I think the animation is very nostalgic. Obviously, it's calling back to all of the like the older DC cartoons. It actually has that vibe through the whole thing. It really is.
Like when I saw the trailer, it looked like the old animated series, and I've heard like they've made it like it's not fully noir, but they've like used like elements of like old noir.
Yeah.
Films
no, I mean,
it
does. It feels, to be quite honest, it feels like this could have been released the same time as all of those other cartoons. I mean, that's pretty much what it feels like. And I don't know who is the voice actor for Batman.
Is it
Hamish Linklater?
Yeah, Linklater. Yeah, I saw that. He's in that Mike Flanagan. The
one with the vampires in it.
He's like the priest or whatever it is.
So he's been in a few things, but this is probably one of his bigger in terms of like people knowing who he is. This is probably one of the bigger ones. He does okay. I think he's all right. I don't know if he's trying to sound like Kevin or not, because in the first episode, it does feel like he's sort of just copying that gruffy, like Batman.
And it's sort of hard. Like when you do an animated Batman and stuff, like it's a lot of them try and do the same type of voice. It's just that Kevin Conroy's was really like, you could tell it was him. Yeah. Like even when you hear like Jensen Ackles do it, like he's just doing like a,
I think it's okay. It's not great. Look, the reality is that if this would have been on Max, it probably would have gotten a lot, because they would have done a week-to-week release, so you would have had hype around it. They dumped the whole series all at once, so all the episodes were out, which is fine from a consumer standpoint. It allows you to binge it if you want and go through and watch the whole thing. The more we've gotten to the streaming world, the more I realize that the binge model is not healthy for TV shows.
No, it's good. I think it's good if you're an unknown. So it helped Stranger Things so well when it came out, for example. But now everyone would want Stranger Things to come out weekly. So it helps when you're a new product coming out, because you got to keep people's attention for week to week to week, and it's like people just slowly drop off. But if they're connected already, then they'll watch week to week.
Yeah.
But it's sort of that. But with that, like, but I think then Amazon, like, they'll do The Boys week to week. So why not? I guess maybe it's because they're shorter episodes, the animated stuff.
Yeah, they're like 23 minutes, I think. With
so I can, but then do 2 a week or something. Do 2
well,
a week.
But My Adventure with Superman was 23 minutes an episode.
But that's on a channel though. That's on an actual TV.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is that it still works. Like you can do it that way. You can release week to week. I think that your suggestion back in the day when we first kind of tackled this subject was release like the first 2 or 3 episodes and then just do everything else week by week, because then it kind of you get the people locked in. Like with Stranger Things, if you would have released like the first 4 episodes, it would have locked people in for the remaining, what was it, like 4 or 5 episodes, however many it was in that first season. It would have locked people in doing that. But I think overall, Batman the Caped Crusader is the only thing people are going to remember it for is for the controversies, because the show is you get like a 2-week period when something is released in like a batch and everything is out. You get like a 2-week window to sort of discuss everything about that series, and then that's it. And then everybody moves on to the next thing. So I don't think we're going to see a second season of it. I mean, maybe did they announce the second season already, or was it just a 1-season thing? I think it's just a 1-season thing. But I enjoy it. If you like the Batman animated series from the 90s, you're probably going to find some enjoyment in it as well. We were noticing as we were watching it, the directing of the episodes feels like something from the 90s, like the frame, because you see the modern animation. Like if you look at X-Men 97 compared to the X-Men series from the actual 90s, clearly it's more dynamic. The shots are better. The way the composition of the scenes is better because technology advances and you can do more things with animation. But this show goes out of its way to make it feel like it was really in the 90s. And I mean, there's a little bit of charm to that. I don't have an issue with that. But the controversy around Penguin being a woman, yes, it is a little bit like her name is Oswalda. So just put an A on her name, right? So it just feels to me like they didn't put a lot of thought into the actual like creation of the character.
Like, is she just a female variant? Like they just made the penguin.
She's an Elseworlds penguin that's a woman.
Okay.
Yeah. So
like you think you could do it where maybe she's the daughter of the Penguin or something
right.
like that.
So that's what initially when we were watching it, we thought that was going to be the. I don't want to spoil the episode, but initially we were watching it, we were like, you know, where are they going to go with this? Are they going to make it so she's like the mother of the Penguin? Like he's going to, you know, because she has kids. So we're like, are one of these kids going to grow up to be the Penguin or something? I mean, they could do something like that, I guess, with the show. I don't know how the season ends, so I'm not sure, but I'm assuming they could do something like that. But it just felt a little bit lazy in that regard, like just calling her Oswalda and making her the Penguin. I felt like that part of it wasn't great, but everything else about it, because Minnie Driver is the voice, she does a really good job. They make it so Penguin is like this cabaret woman who puts on shows for the police department to raise money and things like that. So there's all these cool things that they do with her that I think are interesting. Because let's be clear here, I mean, a lot of versions of the Penguin we've had over the years is not exactly the comic book version. Like if you look at Gotham TV show, that was definitely not at all.
Well, the one in the Batman Penguin isn't either. Like he's just like
So the issue is like, why is creative change? Why is it that some people are okay with creative changes like that, but they're not okay with creative changes when it's just changing the gender of the character? Like, what's the difference? Because to be clear, we would have never had that Heath Ledger Joker if they did not allow the director to make drastic changes to that character, because that was not.
Oh yeah. Well, that's the thing. They made him into like a gangster, like a proper gangster sort of, or gangster wannabe. I don't even know how you'd word it, but like, I think it just depends. It depends on like what the world is. Like if you make a character, you adapt a character to fit the type of world you're making. So I can't comment too much on changing it too much because I haven't watched the show. I don't know like the feel and the vibe of the show, but you know, with like the Batman, I think the Penguin in there sort of suits it because it's not trying to be this overly comic accurate thing. Like it's sort of it's like once again going down that path like the Dark Knight, where it's sort of in like a realistic world, but it's a bit like Gotham's its own character and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But it's not like comic, like overly comic-y, if that makes sense. So you don't expect the Penguin to be like that either. So it just depends what your take on the world is.
It looks here like they are working on a second season. Okay, cool. I mean, I'm more invested now that I know they're going to be working on a second season because I'm enjoying it so far. I think you're right, and I also think that we have to understand that in Elseworlds can be anything it wants. Like they can literally do anything.
Elseworlds, she could actually be a fucking penguin.
Yeah,
they can make her a talking penguin if they wanted to. Literally, they could have, or him, whatever the version is, if they wanted to.
Cody here, Team Airrick member. Thank you, Cody. Catwoman is flat out Black Cat. Yeah, they changed her storyline too, so it's more in line with like an actual cat burglar. So, but I'm okay with that. It works in the world that this Batman exists in, so I don't have a problem with that at all. Now here's Feather Guardian with an interesting comment. The controversy isn't the problem. Hell, I'm okay with Gender Bend, Sector, and Cyrax. It's how they portray Batman and his lore in 3 episodes in, and I don't feel it. But that's just me. Well, see, that's the thing. And this goes back to the whole Elseworlds thing that I was mentioning. You can totally be like, this isn't the show for me. You know what I mean? Like it's not the version of this character that I want to watch, or it's not whatever, blah, blah, blah. You guys know I never try to convince anybody to do anything when it comes to entertainment. You don't have to like anything. But I think the issue I have with it is the people that are pushing back on it, like it shouldn't exist because they don't like it. You know what I mean? That's what gets under my skin. Like you can totally criticize just about anything artistic. And I'm like, okay, but when you act like it shouldn't have been made because you don't like it, or a bunch of people, don't like it, that goes further than what I'm willing to accept.
You know what my thought around that is? I think if it's the main iteration in regards to like the main iteration at that point in time. So whether it's the main comic book line, the main movie series, arguably the main TV series, if you're going to go down that route though, I think that's a bit more complex, but in regards to the main iteration, in regards to media and the actual comic book, I agree. Like if they change the character drastically or characters drastically and it just doesn't fit and you don't feel and you see yourself as a true fan of that character or that world and it doesn't match, I think you 100% have the right to be like, this is fucking shit. What are they doing? But if it's something like this where it's already like out of place, where it's Batman in like what the World War II era.
40s. It's like the 40s, the 40s or 50s.
And like there's already like certain changes and stuff like that. Like this is obviously isn't the main Batman. Of course, if we get Batman Brave and the Bold in the main DC universe with James Gunn, and there's heaps of changes there, and it just does not feel at all like any of those characters.
Yeah.
I'd probably line up with people saying this is fucking stupid. What's going on?
I mean, there's also people complaining that Alfred is like a chubby character. Like they want Alfred to be super skinny, and it's like this is just a different version of Alfred. He's like he looks like a teapot. I mean, it's like that's what the character looks like. I mean, this is also a Batman that uses like the funny gadgets. Like he doesn't have the technology that we see normally with Batman. You know what I mean? He's got like basic stuff. I mean, I'm only a little ways through, but this feels like a year 2 or a year 3 Batman. It doesn't feel like this Batman has been operating as Batman for a long time because the city is just becoming aware of him in the series.
Okay.
So this is like very early on. And, you know, and then like somebody was saying here, like Fetman. So yeah, so Clayface also has a different storyline on how he becomes the character he becomes, but it makes sense because it's in the 1940s, and so they kind of tie it into like that era of time, like with, you know, the golden era of Hollywood and stuff like that. So there is a lot of interesting stuff on it. We have to understand, like, if you want to see the stuff. Oh, Cody says he's actually only been Batman for a week. Okay, well that's pretty wild. I think the issue, and I'm going to be completely honest because I've been watching this content pretty much since the beginning because we weren't getting a lot of cartoons and TV shows about superheroes, you know, even when I was a little kid, because I'm ancient. But we did have a lot, you know, as I was getting older and growing up. And so I've been watching this stuff from the beginning. I don't want to see the same stuff just redone over and over and over again. You know what I mean? And like you said, Paigey, if we're talking about like the mainline version of the character, like the version that's going to be around, you know, for years. Yes, I think that one should be a more cohesive character. The fidelity should be a little bit better, because you want people to be happy with seeing that character come back and be a part of these franchises. So like if this Batman Cape Crusader was like Creature Commandos and it was tied into, you know, the new DCU, people are going to be much more critical because that's a character that you're going to be seeing a lot more of, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
So like My Adventures with Superman, it's a very different version of Superman, but it's an Elseworld story.
But also the thing is that with this Cape Crusader thing, if they just tried to, like, I guess, make it streamline Batman, guess what they're fucking doing?
What?
They're just remaking the old animated series from the 90s.
Yes. And he's pretty much a detective. Like, he can fight, but it's pretty much about him being a detective. So it's very much like old school Batman in that regard. So they're trying to again give it the old school vibe, but update some of the villains to make them more unique. Because a lot of those villains were like pulpy criminals back in the day, and so they want to do something different. I'm okay with it. It's not all gonna land for everybody. You know what I mean? Like it's just not. Marlon says that they're enjoying it. It's a fresh take. Yeah. All right, we have a couple chats here, and then we're going to get into some of the fun stuff, I guess. Naruto here. It's a Team Airrick member for 28 months. Thank you so much, Naruto. When Cape Crusader moved from Max to Prime, they greenlit season 2. Okay, well, that's cool. So, yeah, I'm much more invested in it, just like with My Adventure with Superman. I like that we know the seasons are going to be continuing because with animation, you have to wait so long anyway between seasons. So who knows how it's going to play out long term. All right, we have a $4.99 $5 super chat from Staggervore. Would the same people be complaining if they gender swap Poison Ivy into a character named Poison Oak? I would say yes, they probably would.
Yeah, I would probably say yes.
And the only reason why is because they complain about, like you were saying, about body types. Like because Harley Quinn isn't like the same shape that she is in the comics, or you know, something like that.
Yeah, the one thing I keep saying, it's 3 characters. I know one of them.
It's probably Renee Montoya.
Maybe one of them. There was 3. There was another one. I know one of them's
Penguin and Harley Quinn. Yeah,
no. It was like them sitting at like a bar or something like that.
Oh, okay. Well, I don't know which picture that is.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's one scene. I just keep saying it.
Yeah. But the thing is, though, I think they would probably complain because when it comes to women in media, for a lot of the people that are complaining about it, it's about the control of how attractive they find them. And once people lose that control, they start to rebel a little bit against it because they want to be able to objectify those characters. So yes, if Poison Ivy were changed from anything but the sexy version of Poison Ivy. Doesn't matter if it's, look at the Suicide Squad game. Remember how they freaked out about that because Poison Ivy was aged down in that game? If they change Poison Ivy into anything but a super sexy character, you're going to see the same people complain. It's just the way it is. It was Barbara Gordon. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, I believe they probably would complain, but not for the same reason. You know what I mean? It would be a different thing, but it all boils down to like objectification of the characters. So thank you for the super chat. I do appreciate it. I think that's the only two we have there. I'll leave them in the tab. Yeah. Okay. So that's the other thing is, okay. So what I'm trying to think about how I don't think we know in the DCU how it's going to be, but in the Batman series, what was one of the things they complained about Commissioner Gordon, or you saw some people complaining about?
What do you mean the Batman's like the Batman, like the
Matt Reeves? Yeah.
Well, what, that he was black?
Yes. So in the series, they did the same thing. They made the character, because this is keep in mind, J.J. Abrams and Matt Reeves were part of the process of making this cartoon. They were involved in it. I think J.J. Abrams produced it and Matt Reeves was part of the creation process of the series. So they made Commissioner Gordon black. And so Barbara is a black woman in the series because it wouldn't make sense for her not to be if she is his biological daughter.
Well,
she is. So
yeah, well, I guess she's meant to be adopted, but
yeah.
Obviously, like I think that now they make her biological. I think
right. That's why I said biological in this sense, because I don't know. I'm only halfway through the series, so I'm not totally sure. But either way, they're complaining about that, and it's like, do you like the portrayal of the character? To me, she's very Barbara. So does she fit the character in the show, or is it you don't like her because she's black? You don't like her because she's not super sexy, even though we're talking about the beauty standards of the 1940s,
and
which
also
were very different than the beauty standards of modern times. And it's a cartoon.
I was going to say we're ignoring the fact it's a fucking cartoon.
And it's a cartoon. Yeah.
Like the hentai lovers out like triggered or something.
It's just funny to me. It's so funny to me about what people get triggered about. If I watch something, I want to be entertained. If you're taken out of something because of superficial things, then maybe you shouldn't be engaging in that content. I don't know.
Yeah, I think especially in animation, I think it really matters too much. I think it's always a bit awkward maybe in live action when they do change the race, because you always see the ones, I don't know, they actually don't do it that much more now, I've noticed. But like in like maybe like the 2010s when it happened, like, you know, like they hold the comic book cover up, it's like, I'm playing this character, and they look nothing like
right.
That's always a bit awkward. But I mean, in animation, like, I mean, like, I'm sure in the animated series they had, like, obviously I know it's like in the actual show it's being race swapped and stuff like that, but I'm sure they had like an Asian actor or actress or black or whatever it is voicing a white character or vice versa. So
yeah, I don't know how I totally feel about how strict they are on that anymore. I don't know.
I think it's like when it's culturally and stuff like that. I don't know. Yeah. Like I think it just depends, like maybe what the type, like if with the Barbara Gordon, like I don't know, you have to, like, because I watched it, do they really emphasize on her race too much, or is she just black?
She's just a black character.
Okay, so like I think that's the difference. I think if they emphasize and there's actual like issues that maybe like specific to that.
Now again, I'm not done with the whole series, so maybe later on they tackle something like that, but they don't in the episodes that I've seen so far. They have not. So
yeah, So like maybe like I don't know who voices her. Do you know who voices her or not?
Let's see.
Because that was like the whole issue with like some of the other stuff in the past where they've changed voice actors and stuff like that.
Yeah, she's a black woman. I don't know who she is, but her name is Crystal Joy Brown. I'm trying to think I've seen her or anything. She's a Broadway actress, it looks like.
Oh, okay. So maybe she's.
I'm trying to see. She looks familiar though. She was in Hamilton. She's been in that Power series by 50 Cent.
Oh, 50, your mate.
Yeah. She's also voice acted in the She-Ra Princess of Power series as well.
In the club.
She's done other stuff, but Jamie Chung is playing Harley Quinn. I didn't know that.
Well, that makes sense.
Christina Ricci is Catwoman. I didn't know that.
Take you to the candy shop.
Interesting.
Eric's favorite song.
I love that song. Just saying that to humor you.
Typical.
So, all right, we're going to be talking about Deadpool and Wolverine spoilers now. It's all over the internet. If you haven't seen it by now, I'm sorry. Yeah. I wanted to pull this up first before we get into the sales and all that stuff. But so if you guys aren't familiar, a lot of scoopers were out there like unloading scoops before the movie came out. And one of the big accounts is My Time to Shine, which I think it's funny when people go back and they pull up like some of the scoops that were not real. And they're like, oh, these things came from this account where they're supposed to have like insider information. And I don't know if like the insiders tell them the wrong stuff on purpose. Like if they're actual, what would you do if you were an insider? If you knew that you were under NDA, would you just give the wrong information? Like what would you do?
So the big thing is that a lot of those accounts like My Time to Shine and a lot of those other ones, a lot of them just stopped scooping because they now like the wells run dry. But they actually had sources when it came to like certain things. So I think with My Time to Shine, it was Spider-Man No Way Home.
Mm-hmm.
And with others, it was a bunch with like Endgame and Infinity War and stuff. Like there was a bunch of people that had actual legitimate like connections with Endgame stuff. So with this, My Time to Shine built up a following through Spider-Man No Way Home where there was legitimate things, whether they were getting it firsthand or there was a group. So I know for a fact, I don't know 100% if My Time to Shine how I was in it, but there was a bunch of other accounts that were like getting scoops and stuff that were just in a group and they would take turns putting out specific scoops. So one person would get, the lizard's appearing. I've got this evidence that the lizard's going to be in it. I've got this evidence that Electro is going to be in it. And then there'll be little things like that and they'd take turns. But as soon as one posted it and got like 10 minutes of thing, then everyone else would repost it, like their own version of it. So they'd post the same scoop. I'm hearing the same thing. So they've all built up accounts or like following through that. And I think this is evidence that there is little to no connection now.
Yeah.
The only one that's actually built up a bit of a rapport.
Daniel RPK.
I think he's actually fairly legitimate now. Before he was full of ass. I know for a fact, I got told by someone who was interacting with him, he made up shit in the past. He was only ever good for trailer dates when a trailer was going to come out because he actually had legitimate connections in regards to a lot of the different companies in regards to when trailers were dropping. But he made up a lot of other shit, like a lot of scoops he just made up. But now I've heard that he actually, I haven't heard like specifically in regards to those connections, but I know in the past he made it up, but now he's getting way more consistent with it. And he doesn't hit all the time. I think he's only still got like a 60 or something hit rate. I think someone sort of.
Well, you got to think. I look, I'll never expect scoopers to be 100% right because even if you're like getting information in the industry, they could change something in the production process that you're not aware of, and it's not going to be right. But when you have so many bad takes, bad scoops, it's like clearly these were not real. So here's some of the ones from My Time to Shine. Deadpool 3 is about the TVA picking up the prime versions of each hero to create a multiversal army to fight the Kangs. And they picked Hugh Jackman's Wolverine to recruit, but he's not fully on board. That is what the movie is about. That doesn't sound even remotely like a rough draft of what the final movie was. So
it also just sounds like even a really bad, if this was made up by them, a really bad prediction because they wouldn't have brought in Hugh Jackman's Wolverine to just play a part in that.
And then the next one is Patrick Stewart and Ian McKellen are both in Deadpool 3. That's literally just a guess. That's like you're just taking a shot in the dark with that one. You know what I mean? Ryan Reynolds and Halle Berry, who's also in Deadpool 3, have a bad history with Wesley Snipes. He'll never let him anywhere near this movie.
See, that's probably the biggest L because the Patrick Stewart and Ian McKellen one, they easily could have done it where it's like a cameo of its own. Like it's just a version of them in the void or it's a flashback with Wolverine or something like that.
Right.
But that last one's like probably the biggest L out of all these ones.
And then there's one more here. Right here, this one's funny. The Lady Deadpool footage was 5 seconds long and no voice was heard, so that's not true.
Well, it's funny because this got debunked.
Blake Lively.
Yeah, and this got debunked even before that came out because people were like, no, we saw it. We were there. It's Blake Lively.
Yeah. And look, this Marvel film news, the funny thing about it was, it says 30 to 40 minutes of Deadpool Wolverine was shown at an event in Shanghai. It is rumored that Lady Deadpool appears in the film still wearing a mask, but her voice sounds like Blake Lively. They were actually right. And then here comes My Time to Shine. trying to prove them wrong. So, oh my gosh, too funny. So this is my time to shine on Twitter. It was a Scooper account. I don't know if they're still active or not, but
they might have literally, because they were using it as like a crypto bait account. Like they were just advertising crypto accounts, so people would give them money and they'd advertise their crypto.
And now also, wasn't there a lawsuit against them, like from?
No, that was someone else. It's another one similar to them with one of those weird, silly names. But now I had a look.
We got toast. Days ago. We got toast.
That might have been the one that got in trouble. But I had a look the other day, and that My Time to Shine, how I was just retweeting like sports betting people. You know, people go, pay for my sports betting service. I put out good tips and stuff. They retweet that, so they've swapped crypto for that.
Right. All right. So here we go. This is the next thing we're going to talk about. Deadpool and Wolverine. This is as of last night, I believe. Hits 824 million globally, pushing Disney past 3 billion in 2024. So this is funny to me because, Paige, so many channels want you to believe that Disney and Marvel are suffering. This pushed them past 3 billion this year, and this movie is easily going to make $1 billion this week.
Yeah. So like, well, that Inside Out, which is like what 1.5, 1.6 plus. So I don't know what's the other movies that came
out. For what Marvel or for Disney?
Disney, because no Marvel movie came out.
No.
Did that Wish movie, was that the beginning of this year?
That didn't do well. Out in 2020.
I guess Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, that's Disney now.
Yeah. So
unless they count that as 20th Century Studios and don't include it in the Disney part of things.
All right. No, it's listed as Disney. Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes listed as Disney. Inside Out 2 and Deadpool and Wolverine.
Okay, so they haven't released that many. Yeah, they haven't released.
Well, I mean, they've had other movies, but those are the ones that are listed as at the top. And Wish came out at the end of last year, so it doesn't count totally for 2024.
Yeah,
they came out in November of last year. So those are the big ones this year, and they still have movies coming out. Like Alien Romulus is a Disney movie, technically. Moana 2 still comes out this year. Mufasa, The Lion King, still comes out this year. So they still have some big hitters left this year. But it says here, let me look this article. Deadpool and Wolverine remains a box office force with 824 million globally after 2 weeks of release. The comic book sequel, blah, 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 whatever. Then it says it's already surpassed the entire theatrical run of 2016 and 2018's Deadpool and Deadpool 2. It's the second highest grossing movie of 2024 behind Inside Out 2. Again, both Disney movies. So the third biggest R-rated movie in history after Joker and Oppenheimer, and it's going to beat those. I believe it's going to beat those.
Oh, no, easily. Yeah.
So you would say, well, you said your prediction was like 1.5, right? Didn't you say that's what you were thinking?
I said it would definitely make $1 billion, but it wouldn't surprise me if it hit 1.5. I think it really just depends on legs and stuff like that.
There's some people saying it might actually beat 1.5 if it has another strong weekend.
As I said, it wouldn't surprise me. I'm not saying it's a definite, but it wouldn't surprise me. It probably just, as I said, depends on like where the thing is, there's nothing really there until Joker in regards to another big box office thing. Like Alien Romulus, I'm sure will do okay, but it's not really gonna. It's for horror fans, you know. Like so.
Yeah. Do you think it could be a sleeper hit though? Do you think that movie could end up doing a lot of money as a sleeper hit, or what do you think?
It probably just depends if it's good. Like I think reviews probably matter for those type of movies.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe the only issue is like it doesn't have necessarily a star in it, but then again, I guess the star is Alien. Like that's the star.
If you want to laugh, go to YouTube and look up Wolverine, but it's Danny DeVito. I think I've seen that before.
I think we've learned our no offense to Growly, but I think we've taken our lessons off video suggestions in the chat.
It still amazes me people follow any of their wannabe scoop accounts after they're wrong like 3 times. Like it can happen twice, maybe bad luck, but 3+ times, never trust them. I always kind of laugh at scoopers in general, Canada Graphs. What's up, Defunct?
Oh, by the way, did you see that? Remember we were talking about how like Bitsy Tulloch said that a show was taking over the Superman and Lois downtown set?
I didn't see what it was. What is it?
It's The Last of Us.
So is it really?
Yeah, they kept the cinema. So the cinema that's in downtown Smallville and Superman Lois, which was built for the show, is staying there, and it's going to be in The Last of Us season 2. I think they kept most of the buildings. They just changed some of the outer stuff. Yeah,
probably the names of stuff and things like that. Most likely.
Oh yeah, like I doubt they got like any sort of Easter egg.
Growly says thanks, Paige.
Just give me the heads up, just because there was whenever it was, I felt like that might have been the end of streams forever if we took more video suggestions from the chat.
Crazy Cat Lady with a $5 super chat. I'm seeing Deadpool and Wolverine tomorrow, so I will. Christ. Well, I think she's saying I'll watch.
Well, also you didn't spoil anything.
Yeah. I wasn't going to, but I was afraid that the scoopers that might spoil something. But there was nothing even remotely right in those scoops. So thank you for the super chat. So Cody here says Twitter got really pissy upon learning the exact same Laura Kinney from Logan because apparently it makes Logan null and void. It's a variant, right? Are we supposed to assume that's the exact same one or one that had a very similar?
But also for me,
did they come out and say it was the exact same one? I'm very curious.
But I don't know. For me, in regards to like what do they call them, the Resistance, whatever they call them within the thing. To me, that showed that all those characters were threats to the TVA because they got removed from their timeline, so they couldn't fight to save it.
Right.
So if they got taken, doesn't that mean that they should be seen as a strong character?
Mm-hmm.
At least in my eyes, that's how I worded it.
This is the kind of shit, like, no offense to the actors.
No, I disagree with you, Eric. I think it's the same. It's the same one from Logan. It's 100% the same one from Logan. She has the glasses and everything. It's the same.
That doesn't mean anything. That to me, that doesn't mean anything.
No, but I think you like they're saying like whatever the original thing was when it's like they're saying it like diminishes the effect of Logan. To me, it just plays into it because it shows that she was meant to be this thing, like this strong character, and she obviously like is still around in that universe for like 10 plus years or whatever it is.
Yeah, I mean, okay, so even if it is the same one, it doesn't affect Logan at all.
I don't think it affects Logan at all. I think
how could it? How could it? That story already took place.
And also, you can tell people like don't pay attention to the movie because there's people saying that the timeline doesn't match up. When Deadpool takes out Wolverine's body, he literally uses a time travel device.
The what now?
From the TVA, he uses a time travel device to go to the grave of Wolverine.
Yes, I know. And so they're upset about this and like
they're saying, "Well, hold on,
the movie, right?
Hold on, he dies in 2029 or something." It's like, yeah, but it doesn't matter. It's a time travel device.
My thing is that we're in a period in time in the MCU where you can literally have two versions of Captain America that have almost identical lives, but they're both variants. Like if you look at the time travel shit that happened during Infinity War and Endgame. Like there are variants of those characters. The Loki in the Loki series is a variant of the Loki that we know. It's not even the same Loki. So what I'm saying is that even if it were a version of Laura from Logan, there could be 10 different worlds where that storyline or that world was exactly the same up until that point. And then things were different. You know what I mean? Like we could have 7 different worlds where the events of Logan happened exactly the same up until Wolverine died, and then each one of those worlds went in a different direction after that. We don't know. Like, it could be the one from that exact world, or it could be one from a world that was like that one. We don't know. It doesn't matter anyway.
Yeah, I don't think it matters anyway, because I don't think they do anything disrespectful at all. I don't think they do anything
because I said when we reviewed it, I said for me, one of the best scenes in the movie was the moment with her and Logan where she had an opportunity to talk to him after what happened to her. Like I thought that was a great scene. And it's setting up the possibility she's going to come back and be in Young Avengers because apparently Marvel is talking to the director Sean Levy about doing the Young Avengers movie. Apparently, unless that's like just a scoop. Well, apparently that's what people were talking about. So.
Yeah, I guess it depends what I know they might. Mm-hmm. I personally don't think Young Avengers will happen because I just don't think any of those characters have hit the way that they maybe thought they would.
They're not going to be very young. by the time
Yeah,
movie
I was gonna say
comes
the
out.
only one that I think people honestly care about is probably Laura, if they include, and it has to be Daphne Kane's version.
Yeah, but if she was in that movie, it would do well if she was the lead of that movie.
Yeah, if she was the lead and stuff like that. Yeah, and the thing is, she's like perfect age now to be Laura as well.
I think out of everything that we had in Deadpool and Wolverine, the one that feels the most like transferable to me is her character. I think she works perfectly transferring into like the MCU, in my opinion. But if you think about it, like Young Avengers, you'd have like Ms. Marvel, Hawkeye, the Kate Bishop version, which I liked her. I thought she was good. I don't think she's like a lead character in a movie.
By the way, is that show getting fucking cancelled or what?
No, it's coming out for sure. No, it's still coming out. It's still coming out.
I know D23 is in like a couple of weeks or something. So.
Let me tell you, I think that this Kang stuff with Jonathan Majors fucked up everything.
Oh, you can tell. Did you see that? I actually didn't even notice it until I saw it on, it might have been Twitter, like a day or two ago. And it was like, I think it might have been Screen Rant. Funnily enough, fuck Screen Rant. But anyway, it was Screen Rant. I'm just sick of all their articles. I'm sick of you reading their articles.
I don't read their articles. When was the last time
you don't do it anymore? Before you're addicted to Screen Rant shit. But anyway, I think it was Screen Rant doing an interview with Kevin Feige, and it's like they asked about Kang, and it sounded like it was they were the first person throughout the entire press thing to ask him about Kang and like the changes that it's caused them to make. And he didn't answer the question. Like he pretty much gave this like 1 minute answer that didn't answer anything, but he pretty much like gave kudos to the guy for having the balls to ask about Kang because everyone else seemed to avoid it. But he also praised himself. He's like, well, I have to give myself some credit because I've done pretty well to avoid bringing it up as well, because he easily could have brought it up as well when it came up to certain things. But maybe it was because people were scared of losing their, people don't want to ask certain questions because like, oh, I'm going to lose my access, I won't be able to interview. So they were scared to ask because it was a bit of a hot topic.
I mean, look, it's pretty clear that everything is shifting. Like we talked about the Doctor Doom stuff the other day, and I think,
well, by the way, just quickly on the Doctor Doom stuff, because I saw a pretty interesting, obviously it's going to be taken over by idiots that just want to jump to conclusions and they don't want to have a nuanced discussion around it. But I saw people saying like, is it actually whitewashing if they still make the character, if it is going to be Victor Von Doom, they still make him Romani? Is it still whitewashing?
I think it's more whitewashing if they do that.
So they still make the character Romani.
I think if they make Victor Von Doom and they change his story so that it's not about that, then it's less problematic.
So you think it'd be better off if they made it just that it's a British guy or whatever, or like a Europe, somewhere else in Europe.
Like, I guess I don't think there is a. I don't think there's an easy way for them to get around this because very clearly they're just ignoring it. Like it seems to me like they're just not even.
Yeah, I think also like I think. Because I think in regards to the general public loves it. But if you go on Twitter, they hate it.
Look, I'm going to make a prediction right away.
It depends, like, who does Kevin Feige really care about? The general public, where they're going to make the money from, or Twitter that yell at brick walls 99% of the time?
I can tell you right now, I love talking about this when I go to work, like talking to people that aren't, like I love this space. You know what I mean? Like the really dedicated people that just are reading everything that comes out. But I love going and talking to people who are very casually engaged with this because those are the people that are going out and spending money without any of this stuff being a factor to them. Like they don't care about how fat a character is or whether or not their hair is the right color or whatever. They don't care about that shit. They just want to go out and see a good movie. And you know what I think I'm going to do? I'm going to start a series. I could have done it this weekend where I talk to people at the club about going and seeing these movies and what they think of them, because you'd be surprised some of the comments that are made. We'll talk about that.
One of the most interesting things was with this series. I think Grace Randolph used to do it. I don't think she does it. Well, I highly doubt she does it anymore. But I can't remember. There was a channel that used to do it like it was actually probably closer to 10 years ago. And they would just interview people coming out of the movies.
Yeah. I could do that. The theater is like 5 minutes from me. I could set up out there.
So they'd go to usually like opening night, and then they would pretty much interview and people would just go, what do you think of the movie? What would you give it out of 10? Or something like a really simple thing. And you would get such different responses to some of the stuff you'd see on the internet because it's actually real people that aren't online all the time that have just gone to see a movie.
I just thought about this. I know the people that, because these are local theaters. I know the people that run these theaters. I wonder if I kind of talk to them, would they be interested in like having like me do those types of things if they didn't mind, like, you know, people stepping out of the theaters and just having a little space to pull them aside with like lights and stuff, so it'll be a good video and talk to people. I might talk to them about that because I do know them, so I could definitely have a conversation and then find out. But anyway, needless to say, I've talked to people about the whole Doctor Doom thing, and I hate to say this, the vast majority of people like the idea that I've spoken to about it. And they're like, I will be there opening night, you know, both movies, blah, 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 et cetera, et cetera. My prediction is that between the Russo brothers returning, Robert Downey Jr. returning to play Doctor Doom, they are pretty much writing those billion-dollar checks directly to Disney.
I saw people blowing up about the amount of money that Robert Downey Jr. is going to make, and it's like ignoring the fact of how much money these movies are going to make.
Yeah, this is going to be
like, sure, I agree that no actor should really be making that much money. It's a bit ridiculous. Like, it probably should go to the crew and stuff being paid more, or the writers. Well, I'm sure the writers are getting paid a lot, but that type of things. But like at the same time, these movies, it's like on the actual proper business sense, it's not like they're like being silly in regards to giving Robert Downey Jr. that much money, because his name alone probably brings in an extra 500 mil.
Yeah.
Or maybe 300 to 500, depending on.
Well, and not only is this is not him with a cameo as Iron Man. He is going to be the big character. You know what I mean? Like, he is the big bad for the next phase of movies. Yeah. So it's a pretty big deal. So I think this pivot, and I stand by this, I think Dr. Doom could have been someone in the mid-range that's a really good actor, younger, probably very hungry to do something in Marvel.
Pretty much what they did with Jonathan Majors.
If Jonathan Majors were still Kang. But once Jonathan Majors was no longer part of the picture, I will stand by this statement. There is no world where they were not casting a massive A-lister, a proven box office draw, and someone that's reliable to deliver a performance as Dr. Doom. That was inevitable, honestly. And it sucks because, yes, you're erasing the history of the character. It doesn't seem like they're paying. And I say that this is all speculation. I don't know how they're going to handle this, but it's doing all of that. And yes, we can hold them accountable for that, but they didn't see any other way to go with this. Now, I wouldn't have necessarily gone with Robert Downey Jr. I think I probably would have looked at some other A-listers. Maybe they did. I don't think they made this decision very lightly. But by doing this, again, they have guaranteed that both of these movies will easily make $1 billion for them. And that's just the way it is. And the vast majority of people seem to be okay with it. So either we need to get better about educating the public somehow, or we need to realize that all of this stuff that we yell about on Twitter isn't real life. I mean, that's just the reality of it. I mean, I don't know what the correct answer is, to be honest. Wait, hold on. Wait. Are we talking about the Harold and the Purple Crayon movie or whatever? That movie was never going to make any money anyway.
Well, you know what? That filmed 2.5 years ago.
Yeah. We were sitting in there. We were watching some, I can't remember what we were watching, something on YouTube, and that was one of the ads that popped up. And I was like, I thought that movie already came out. Like, I thought that it had already been out in theaters because I didn't have any interest in it. But I was like, oh, it's not out yet. It's coming out.
Yeah.
I legit thought it was already out. I thought it was already in theaters.
I saw a thing. I think he did Shazam. He filmed Shazam 2 at the end of 2021. And I think it went a bit longer because of COVID stuff. And then he pretty much jumped into that like a bit after. So obviously I guess, but like it's I know. It's a weird property. I don't even know why they had adapted it. But like, I mean, no matter who was in that movie, that wasn't going to sell.
No, fucking well. I actually think it would have done better if it would have been like geared towards children, like with a teen.
I'm surprised they didn't just sell it to a streaming service.
It's really weird. That's like a Netflix movie or something. I don't understand it. But do you think that he's pretty much ruined his career? Do you think Zachary Levi has ruined his career by saying and doing all the stuff that he's done?
I know it depends. Like
not permanently. I mean, just temporarily. Like people just don't.
Yeah, but even then, like a lot of the stuff that he said is like very minimal, like very very minimal. Like people trying to storming a teacup out of it or mountain.
Well, no, I don't mean what he actually said. I mean the fact that from the standpoint of
I do think it's weird that it's going. The only thing I think is weird is that like the whole like the Kennedy guy, the guy that's not like going for president but won't clearly get it.
Yeah, he said like a 0% chance in most states.
I do think that's weird, like aligning yourself, but like,
yeah.
But then there is some other people in Hollywood that probably align with RFK.
Well, look, no, but that's not what I mean. Let me reiterate this. Like I mean, for the example, say DC wanted to move forward with another Shazam movie, right? They wanted to put him in another movie as Shazam or something. You don't know if he's going to come out tomorrow and be like, you know, the Earth is flat and you can catch measles from drinking water. You know what I mean? Like, you don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
You
know, like I think he's on good terms with Gunn, so I think he has no issues. You got to remember, Nathan Fillion is in Superman. Nathan Fillion publicly said he doesn't really care what Joss Whedon did; he'd still be his friend.
Yeah, but I think that's a little bit different than what happened with what's his name, Zachary Levi. I think that's a little bit different. Like, I feel like Zachary has a history of like right before movies coming out, so like saying stuff and like, you know, like it seems like he picks the worst time to be honest all of a sudden. And
I think Zachary Levi is just a perfect example of like a person who probably just doesn't realize he's in the public eye and just speaks like a normal person. Like he just speaks as if it's his own Twitter account.
I'm not disagreeing with that. I think look, there's
but that's the thing. But then you see someone like Chris Pratt, who obviously would have his own opinions and stuff on certain things, but he just doesn't, you know, like he doesn't do
like
anything.
A disclaimer friend, right? Like you have a friend, like so you go out with with a group of people and you have this one friend that will just say anything. You know what I mean? Like there's kinds of people. I mean, and you're like, oh, my friend might say something stupid. I'm just warning you.
Do we need the example of James Gunn when he was just saying shit when he didn't have, I guess people just didn't really care who he was. But now there's like, and then as soon as people cared who he was, people went back and stuff. So, you know, when you're in the public eye and you got like, I guess like a career to bank on and that's relying on the public eye.
Yeah.
You just sort of need to like go, okay, well, my time to have any sort of opinion, unless you're incredibly left leaning, is like,
well, but even then that can be smeared. You can get
smeared. Well, that means you end up like
I actually think it's better right before a movie comes out. Like if you're a celebrity and you have a movie, just answer questions about the movie, and that's it. Once the movie is in the theaters and you've made your money, then say whatever the fuck you want to say. Like I'm not saying to like not say stuff. I'm like Zachary just has a history of saying stuff at the wrong times. Like like totally, you know, that's how I feel about it. I don't know. There was a super chat here from Cody. $20 super chat. Thank you so much, Cody. I appreciate it. You kept my lights on for the week. People don't realize that Marvel had to pivot 3 different times within the past few years alone. Chadwick Boseman's death caused T'Challa was supposedly to be the face of the MCU. 2 is the pandemic, and 3 is the stuff with majors. Yeah, I mean, I think all of this played into it. I think they okay. Well, so what are you going to say?
I was going to say, well, 2 of those are sort of like a lot of people's answer is recast.
Yeah. What you mean with the
well, I don't know, was T'Challa, do you think T'Challa would have been the face of the MCU, like the face?
I think this possibility. I mean, I think he would have been more well received than Captain Marvel was.
Yeah, I guess I'm trying to think like, well,
like you got to remember that people were not angry that Black Panther was popular. That movie did really well, and most people love that character.
I think if Marvel had like the pure ownership of it or the MCU, like Spider-Man would clearly be the face of the MCU. But of course, they got that thing where like technically it's Sony. So I guess
think Spider-Man would have been the co-lead of whatever.
Like you can't have Spider-Man like cameoing and stuff like that or having a guest appearance. While with T'Challa, they probably would have been able to do
T'Challa, they had not only did they have someone who is a clear leader because he has to lead an entire country, so he made the most sense to be the leader of the Avengers or a leader of the Avengers, right? So you had that. You had the fact that he was very much like Captain America in terms of his power set. He had a very cool history of passing the mantle around, which set him up for all kinds of really interesting stories when it comes to like bringing people into Wakanda, stuff like that. He had Wakanda with all that technology, which means every single character that had some sort of tech could have been upgraded infinitely without any real explanation because of Wakanda tech. So there was a lot of things in his favor. And I think, honestly, the Avengers moving forward, if I had to guess the 4 characters that they wanted to really be the face of the Avengers, it would have been Spider-Man, Black Panther, Captain Marvel, and Doctor Strange. Those are the original 4 that I think they wanted to take over as like the face of the Avengers. That's what I believe. And yes, the pandemic definitely affected Marvel. And I will say this forever. I believe what Marvel had, one of the things that Marvel had going for it that we did not even notice until the pandemic happened, was consistency on release schedules. Like their projects typically might have shifted like 1 month to another. But what are you laughing about?
No, Abby's comment.
Oh, wait. Well, I'll look at it in a second.
No offense, but I think Shang-Chi would have been the face of the MCU.
No, I know. I'll look at it in a second and I'll read it out. But their consistency in release schedule was one of the things that they had going for them, because you got to remember the DC EU was plagued with like problems of getting movies out and getting movies done. And how long was The Flash in production? 2014 to was that when it was supposed to come out?
It was in development since 2014.
Yeah, I meant development. Yeah.
I think but then they kept changing. Also, it didn't help that like the, I guess, tone technically of the universe kept changing and what they wanted to do.
So one thing Marvel had is, even when they had the movies that didn't do like $1 billion or whatever, they had consistent product that was coming out.
Well, I think that's the issue now, is that like in the past, the MCU would take the losses because it built up their storyline, while now they'll have the Marvels, which doesn't really build up too much of the storyline for the greater MCU outside of what the end credits and like some of the minor bits at the end. Yeah. And it's not really worth it. It's not worth the loss because it didn't really push forward any sort of major storytelling within that universe. But then again, a lot of the movies during that time, like what, Wakanda Forever, like where does that even push stuff going forward for the MCU outside of the specific Black Panther stuff? And even then, we don't even know if they're going to follow through with that. Like, will Black Panther have any sort of thing before we get to Secret Wars? Probably not. Outside of that Disney Plus show, which is about the soldiers.
If Chadwick was still alive, his character would have been in so many films.
Oh, he would have been in Winter Soldier and the Captain America, the Falcon and Winter Soldier show. Probably would have been in that. Would have shown up in that. Let alone obviously Wakanda Forever in the storyline.
And I believe Wakanda Forever would have been another $1 billion movie. Like I think that would have been
probably. What did it make? Like 800 mil? Did it make like 900 or something? Got close.
It got close to 900.
That was when they had to like avoid the thing with Shuri's actress, whatever her name is.
Yeah. Well, okay, so funny thing about her. Now, thank you for the super chat, Cody. I appreciate it. Funny thing about her was, did you hear about the whole Daily Wire thing? Like
she's in like a movie that was made but then bought by the Daily Wire.
Yeah. So she didn't want to have any connection to them, so she was like basically denouncing it. Like I have no connection to them. I'm not going to do. I don't think she's going to do any promotions for it or anything like that. It was kind of interesting to see her come out and do that after all the controversy around her and what she said about healthcare and stuff like that during her time with Marvel. I want to pull up Abdi's comment here because it made you laugh. So I think Shang-Chi should have been the new face of it. It's crazy as it showed up. This movie is the best new character. So look, I'm going to be honest. I love that movie. I think it's still a really, really good movie. It's a fun film. I love that character has so much charisma. I know that he can be problematic as well. I know social media, he's been questioned.
He's Zach Levi. He pretty much is sort of the same as Zach Levi.
Yeah.
Doesn't realize that he's in the public eye.
I think the issue is they don't know how to use that character without progressing that story. Does that make any sense? Because where that movie left off, clearly we need to pick up with what his character's doing next because of the end credit scene in that film where it connects with another franchise. We can't do that until we get the second film or another movie continues that story. And it doesn't look like they want to do that because the first film was so successful for them in terms of like bringing the character to life. So I agree with you. We need another movie, which I think is the one that is confirmed to be in development. But
I thought didn't that already get announced? Well, the thing is that like we're talking about how at Comic-Con, like they really, I guess they did technically a lot, but they didn't do a lot at the same time. But it's because I didn't realize D23 was literally like this month or something.
Yeah.
So obviously, and that's where we'll talk about like how they just ignored Agatha all along. But it's because Disney D23 will have that. maybe they might finally confirm that Ironheart's going to come out.
They will probably show an episode at D23 of Agatha.
Oh yeah, probably.
Lance here, swinging in. Long time no speak. You've been busy. That's why. You've been on the road. That's why it's been a long time no speak. Let's see here, but good to see you. Anthony says Moana 2 is definitely going to be a big hit in November. I think that movie's going to do really well too. I think it's going to do better than the live action one, for sure.
They cast an Australian actress as Moana.
Oh, is she Australian?
Yeah.
Interesting. All right, we're gonna look at one more DC related thing, and then we're gonna rank these X-Men movies. That should be fun to see what the chat see if we're right or wrong. So Naruto here, I highlighted this. Sorry off topic, but you see they announced House of the Dragon will end with season 4. Yes, and I know a lot of people get upset about this kind of stuff, but I've gotten to a point where when a show creatively, like the people making it have decided this is the best place to end the story, as much as I would love to see shows continue, we've seen it time and time again where things go on for too long and they probably should have just wrapped up. So if the people that are creating the show think that this is where it needs to end, then this is where it needs to end.
But also, like, it's based off a book which isn't overly thick, and they're making 4 seasons of television out of it, which is a fair stretch. I mean, I watched have you seen the finale yet?
Is it out already?
It came out yesterday.
No, we're one episode behind. So
okay, well, I'll say, like, I think the finale, like, I think this season as a whole has been fairly lackluster. Like, it just felt like not a lot was happening. You know what it felt? It felt like half a season's worth of storyline stretched out into an entire season.
The first few episodes were rough to get through for me. I had a hard time getting through.
The second last episode is great, and I think the last episode is really good as well in regards to the writing and the acting and stuff. But it feels like the entire season was pure setup for season 3 without having its own real condensed storyline outside of some minor things. But if you're not excited for season 3 based off the end of season 2, then you probably have a screw loose, because it makes me want season 3 like right now, but I know it's going to be like 2 years until we get it. So I'm really triggered by it.
Let's see.
But Rings of Power comes out soon. I'm excited for that. I like season 1 of Rings of Power. I'm surprised. I don't know why I got so much hate.
Rings of Power? Oh, I don't know either. Well, I mean, there's a lot of people on YouTube that
well, it comes out this month. I know, because I think it comes out. I know it's August. I know it comes out August. I don't know if it's how long until it's out.
The list that I just had up disappeared for the tier ranking thing.
Cheeks out, buns out.
Oh, never mind. I see why.
What's wrong with liking Rings of Power? I thought it was slow in some episodes, but I like the ending of it. And I like some of the specific episodes.
Paigey, you have to remember, this is the internet. You can't like things that other people
don't like. Anything. Yeah, that's right. I haven't seen I haven't watched the trailer though for season 2. I've only seen. I just know it's coming out. I saw a poster. I don't know if I'll watch it. I'll probably just watch the show when it comes out. I don't think I'll bother with the trailer. I sort of stopped. I just said before to you, I've sort of stopped watching trailers.
Yeah, well, at a certain point, I just find they give away too much. So,
like if I know I'm gonna like it, or if it's season 2 or something of a show, like unless I'm obviously like Superman Lost was talking about it, but like, if it's something like that, then I'm just gonna watch the show. Don't need to be spoiled. Eric was born in Mordor, hence the red hat.
So this is one that has 18, but it's got the animated stuff listed too. So we're just not going to, I don't think we'll just ignore those.
Yeah. Josh, you'd have managed to lose the list.
I mean, I have it over here, but it keeps freezing up. We'll see. We'll use the one I have, I think.
Dabbing on them haters, yeah.
The way they have them listed, so I'm over here looking at Wiki to figure out like the way the films are set up, and it's like you have the first 3 X-Men films, which is X-Men X2, The Last Stand. Then you have the Wolverine trilogy, which is Origins, The Wolverine, and Logan. And then you have the prequel films, which is actually 4 movies, which is First Class, Days of Future Past, Apocalypse, and Dark Phoenix. And then the 2 Deadpool movies, now 3. I mean, I guess it's half of this and half MCU, I guess. And the New Mutants. So it's kind of funny. Anyway. All right, so I want to share this over here. Paigey sent this to me, and this is hilarious, everybody. I have to say, when I saw this, I always thought it was a joke, but then I saw it actually came from David Ayer. Release the Ayer cut.
By the way, a lot of people think that AI was used to make that background art.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Because I think it was made by, it wasn't made by him, it was made by someone online.
Yeah. I love this tagline because I honestly think he doesn't understand what the fuck he's talking about. This is not a director's cut. This is my edit. This is my mature cut. And he's the director. So
and then they decided to sneak in
a director's cut.
And then they decided to sneak in down the bottom. Zack Snyder's Justice League Part 1, Part 2, Part 3.
What the fuck?
What do you think James
He's
Gunn's
the director.
reaction?
You're re-editing the film as the director, and you say it's a mature cut, so it is a director's cut.
What do you think James Gunn's reaction was when he probably went on Twitter? Because I've seen that James Gunn's now back on Twitter talking. He was off for ages. I think he actually wasn't on there during Superman. It was probably smart, to be honest. But now that Superman's done, he's back on Twitter. Now that Superman's done, he's back on Twitter. What do you think his reaction was when he saw this? He's probably like, fuck this dude again.
I don't know, man. I don't know. I feel like there was a possibility at some point where David Ayer could maybe work for James Gunn. I think this is it, though. I mean, he's even doing the hashtags restore the Snyderverse.
Well, no, just even the thing. This is my mature cut. It's like, get your finger out of your ass. Like, what are you talking about? This is my mature cut. Have you read a Suicide Squad comic? Like, this is my mature.
Look,
cut.
I just look at the bottom here. Do you see what this says?
Do you think that's the equivalent of saying, "Oh, I'm wearing my big boy pants today"?
I guess, but look at the bottom. It says the Justice League Part 1, Part 2, Part 3. Do you see
that's
that?
just hilarious. Wait, August 5th? That's today in America, isn't it? Or the day
it was. It was.
They didn't do a lot of promoting, did they?
It was 7 minutes ago.
They didn't do a lot of promoting. This just came out of nowhere, didn't it?
I just don't even know, man. I don't know. I thought we were done with this because I think he came out and was like, I'm not going to be pushing for this anymore or whatever. It's time to move on. Is he even doing – what is he doing right now? I'm curious. Is David Ayer –
He did that Jason Statham movie earlier in the year, but I'm not too sure how that went. I don't know how it performed, honestly.
I'll have to say, okay, I just want to be honest about this. Straight up, I'm not going to mince words with it. This looks pathetic as a director of Hollywood films to do this. This looks really, really sad. I know he feels like it's a Zack Snyder thing, but Zack Snyder's moved on. Zack Snyder doesn't give a fuck about any of this stuff anymore. He does not care. He's too busy dealing with the fallout from his Star Wars movies that nobody liked. So,
side note, did you watch them?
I did not. Have you watched them?
I haven't even watched Part 2, so do you think I'm going to watch the director's cuts? No. I just saw that he just made it overly violent, and Sofia Boutella's boobies are on display for multiple scenes. She has multiple sex scenes or something like that.
The issue with those movies had nothing to do with the lack of violence. There were fundamental problems with the way those movies were structured that cannot be fixed by adding in more violent content.
Number one, it was boring as fuck. Number two,
yes,
it was boring as shit. Number three, I almost fell asleep.
Number four, it took me a week to get through the second part. I was watching it in 30-minute blocks because I couldn't watch it for longer than that. I would rather watch YouTube videos of people deep sea diving than watch that. That's more entertaining to me. It was just bad. It was just bad. And look, if you like it, more power to you. I did not. They were so bad to me. I have no interest in seeing another version of Rebel Moon. And I definitely don't give a fuck about a more mature version of the Suicide Squad movie. That wasn't even, it was a mid movie to begin with. Like, whatever it is that he has is not going to make a mid movie a 10 out of 10. It's just not.
The best part of the theatrical Suicide Squad is the part that David Ayer confirmed he did not like, which is the opening, like 30-minute, like fun montage.
The montage introducing all the characters. Yeah,
that's the best part of the movie, and he says it's not in his movie, or he says that, and that's not what he wanted. He felt like that made it like that was to appeal to, spoil it, general audiences.
Yeah,
and I'm pretty sure the stuff that is dog shit in that theatrical Suicide Squad movie is literally his stuff, like them walking. It's like fuck, and then walking and just taking out NPC villains.
Yeah. Victor DiChinchella, good to see you, Victor. Team Airrick member 499 super chat. Hey, hello guys, been a while. It's a weird voice. Hello guys, been a while. Will you be doing live chats this season for Superman? Though the last season, on the last of. I don't understand what that last sentence says, Victor. Sorry. I know you're trying to fit it all into the $5 super chat. If you can type it into the chat in more detail. The answer to your first question is my intention is to do the after parties later in the evening after after Superman and Lois, like it was back in the day, like just after parties dedicated to that show. That is essentially what I would like to do. Or at the very least the next day, like the 5 o'clock spot on Friday, because I think they're coming out on Thursdays, right? Isn't that the time they're going to be released? Thursdays. So the last show of the Arrowverse. All right, gotcha. So yeah, we're going to be doing after party specifically for that, instead of doing like a live stream, instead of doing a recorded review. So what you'll get from me is probably a video where I'll talk about the episode, but I'm going to be doing all my review stuff on live stream. But I might like talk about aspects of the episode, like the villain or something like that. I'm going to be doing something different. Rant and reviews are over. Those days are over. Like I tried them again with the 3 different shows that we were watching, and it's very clear that YouTube's algorithm does not give a fuck about reviews. You have to either be reacting to something or lying about stuff. That's really the only way to get views on YouTube, unless you're live streaming. So I was going to do those for Superman and Lois, but it just doesn't perform very well. So I will be doing live stream after parties for Superman and Lois and separate videos, maybe watching the trailers or something like that. Cause I know Paigey does trailer uploads, like trailer breakdowns. So I might do something like that. We'll see. But there will be something available after the episodes, live streaming back in the old days with all the connection issues. I might even go back and start using like OBS and,
oh God!
Just kidding.
Not too sure about that one.
Yeah. Not actual rant and reviews. Those don't work. I have to do something else. Like putting review in a title does not. People don't want to click on that. People would rather watch reactions than actual reviews, unless you're reviewing a movie. So I will continue to make videos. I guess people misunderstand me. The actual series called Rant and Review is not coming back. Like those are gone, but I will still be reviewing and making videos about the shows. That particular style is not returning, is what I mean. Yeah, I saw this, Paigey. They're testing that, not allowing people to comment, or not to comment on repost, and removing likes from replies, so people can't get ratioed or something. I don't know if you guys have noticed or not, but I'm not even posting on Twitter anymore. Like I actually, like the last time I posted anything was like the beginning of June, I think. Can't remember. I can't be bothered. Like I use Twitter for news, like I bookmark stuff and I reply to things, but I don't post anything on there myself anymore. All right, let's do this next super chat, and then we will and then we'll rank some Fox films. $5 from Abdi. Which do you think multiverse is the best? MCU, DC, EU, or the Air? Well, the DC EU was garbage. The only movie that really explored the multiverse was the Flash film. And I thought there was some possibility there for that to be a big deal, but that was the last movie in that universe. Yeah, that was the last one. Because I know they said that Aquaman was like a loose continuation. And I don't even know if that movie really connected to anything outside of the Aquaman series, right? I'm thinking back. Aquaman 2.
No, just
the Aquaman stuff. So I like the multiverse in the Arrowverse, but the issue with that was they kind of did away with it. Like, I know that they were trying to bring it back before everything got canceled and ended. But up until that point, I think the multiverse in the Arrowverse was fine. I thought it worked with just like 2 or 3 places. But the MCU, I think, has a better idea of what they're doing with their multiverse. Doesn't mean it's not messy. It's still relatively messy. But I think overall, if we're talking about those 3 things specifically, I think the MCU is more cohesive in a way. The Deadpool and Wolverine stuff makes it a little bit messier. But we'll see what the DCU does, because I'm sure they're going to have some sort of multiverse. Maybe theirs will be a little bit more solid. We do have a video clip from James Gunn that I wanted to watch, but I think we'll watch that at the very end after we do this tier list. All right. So here we go. Everybody in the chat, I want you to chime in on this as well. We're going to rank what? Hold on. Don't tell me it's going wrong again. Oh, no. Okay. So it's in French and English. Got it.
Bonjour.
It actually, there is bonjour in there somewhere. So S is obviously S tier, the best. A is great or excellent. B is mid. C,
well, you can
boring.
I ranked mine in order. So like what I did from like worst to best. So maybe you can just like scroll them along or something.
Actually, I'm going to do something here.
Or you can just go like first to third, fourth to sixth or something. And
hold on. I'm going to change this.
Changing things, yeah.
Hold on. What is that noise?
Is it tapping?
Yeah.
It's me using Cal as a drum and the bottom of my chair as a drum as well. Making some hectic beats.
I'm actually going to delete some of these rows to make it a little bit more cohesive.
Pleasing to the eye.
Yeah. So we're going to delete this one. Delete that row. We're only going to do 4 rows for mine. All right. So we're going to do excellent, really good, mid, and bottom. Those are the 4 rows we're going to have. That's it. Like, I'm not going to overly complicate it. All right. So I think these are somewhat in the proper order down at the bottom. And we'll just say where we're going to put Deadpool and Wolverine since it's the very last one. Does that make sense? I guess. Maybe. All right. So let's rank these. The first X-Men film, the OG one, the one that started it all. Where did you put that on your? By the way, what is your rank list? Do you have 4 tiers, or can you just kind of? Can you give me an idea? Like, make yours work with this list, or?
Well, I did 14th through to first, so I just ranked them from like.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, okay. So that's different from this then. Okay. So, how do you want to do it? Would you rather do it your way or do it this way? I think this way is more interactive, honestly. But we'll see. We'll see what they think.
Yeah, well, so I can do my like own. I can just read mine out.
Okay,
really
so all right, that's fine. So where did you rank the X-Men movie in your list? The first one.
First one, I put it, I guess, smack bang in the middle. I put it at number 8.
Okay. So that would be the equivalent of like mid or good, right?
Yeah,
Somewhere
it's
around there.
I'd probably put it at just. Oh yeah. Why not? This is your list, so you put it where you want. I can
Yeah,
say
yeah.
mine
I'm
up.
thinking.
So I put mine out of 8 out of 14.
I think it's ridiculous to put it at excellent. I definitely wouldn't put it there.
No, it's like if you watch it, it's dated, but it's still fun. Like it's the one out of the older ones where you're watching like, oh, this is pretty dated. Definitely feels like it was made.
I'm trying to think back to the last time I watched it. It's been a few years since I've watched this movie. This is the one with like when Storm is like, you know what happens to a toad when it gets struck by lightning or whatever. That's the first movie. So, I'm going to stick it in mid for now. I'm not totally solid on leaving it there yet as we go through the list. But we're going to leave it in mid for the moment. Because I don't know, chat. What do you think? Mid, really good. What are we feeling for this one? I'm very curious. Very curious. All right. X2. Now, this one I think is a much superior film to the first one. And I think the opening sequence with Nightcrawler alone kind of easily puts it above the first film. But I don't know if that means it's excellent or not.
You know, people still to this date don't understand why he was attacking the White House. They
still don't know.
The movie explains it, and they wonder why Nightcrawler was doing something evil at the beginning of the movie, and then why it turns good. It's like, did you not watch the fucking movie?
I mean, it's the whole. That's the story
point of the movie. It's the whole point of the movie. They still don't understand it. I saw it on Twitter the other day because I was like going through like classic X-Men scenes. I'm like, and they said, "Oh, I recently watched the movie. Why was he bad at the beginning?" I'm like, what? They like focus in on him having the circle on the back of his head.
Right. All right. So we're gonna put this in the really good. Chad, is this right or wrong? Is this right or wrong?
Do you want to know why I put mine?
No. You put yours at the top, didn't you?
Second. It's second on my list.
That's why I'm torn. I'm torn because I feel like it's so early to do an excellent, but this movie is really good. Should it go up to excellent? I can be peer pressured on this one. I feel like it is close enough to be excellent, but I don't know if that's necessarily where it needs to be. Excellent. Ethan says excellent. All right, you guys convinced me. I'm okay with being bullied. I did. Okay. Unfortunately, the next one, which is The Last Stand, even though it has some really fun elements in it, I think Last Stand is mid.
It's you know where I have it on my list?
Where?
12th out of 14th. I have it the third worst out of these.
I think it's. I don't think it's great, but I like some of the stuff in it.
I just think because if they fumble the Dark Phoenix.
Okay. Convince me that it needs to go down to the bottom. I'm curious. Tell me why. Tell me why you would put it at the bottom, or why it's at the bottom of your list.
Well, it's just a bloated movie. It should have just been Dark Phoenix, and even then, it would have been really trying to rush that storyline. But they mix it in with that other storyline from the comics, with like the trying to take away the mutant gene and stuff like that. It was all over the place. Mm-hmm. And like I don't. It shouldn't be so much of a surprise because like Bryan Singer was meant to direct it, and then he did Superman Returns with Brandon Routh instead. So they had someone. Whatever.
Oh wait, is this the one where they killed Cyclops at the beginning?
Cyclops dies in like the opening 20 minutes, whatever it is.
Wait, they killed Cyclops. Yeah, bottom. Sorry, I remember that was awful. That was at the beginning of this movie. What a dumb thing to do. So fucking stupid. Yeah, I'm gonna put it at the bottom. I'm sorry. That's going to the bottom. All right. So that's the OG trilogy taken care of. It's funny how widely different those films are.
Yeah, I had it third last. I was shocked when he put it at mid. I'm like, no way, Eric's putting this.
Yeah, no, I had to think about it. You're right. Like, that's also the one where the Juggernaut chases Kitty Pryde and goes, "I'm the Juggernaut, bitch!" Right? That's in that one. Yeah, that's no. Okay, now we're gonna jump into the next series of like the prequel movies that jumped around in time or whatever. And this contains probably one of my favorite films out of all of these X-Men films, and that is First Class. I'm putting it at excellent. That's in the top tier for me.
I agree. I have it at it's third on my list. So your excellence are my second and third choices so far.
Yeah. I think that this movie for me, even though it isn't a perfect like X-Men film, I think there's a lot of weird, like because of the original films, they had to change the way the origin of the X-Men came to be in terms of which characters were there. I will say this was the beginning of the Mystique is the best character ever era, and I didn't like that part of it. But everything else, we got like I love Ian's Magneto, but Michael Fassbender's Magneto I think was also really strong.
Yeah, I think James McAvoy, Professor X, and Fassbender as Magneto are, I think, some of the best castings, especially in regards to like the stuff that they have to like tackle and stuff like that. I think yeah, and the only thing like there's like nothing. Yeah, it's incredibly rewatchable as well. This movie, it's really, really rewatchable.
Well, because it's a jumping off point. You don't have to know a lot of stuff.
Well.
Like you can literally like jumping. Like you can just
Ethan agrees with me, saying he thinks it's the most rewatchable one as well.
Yeah. Okay. So the next one might be controversial because I think there are problems with this movie, but I think there are portions of the film that are brilliant, like the opening sequence with Days of Future Past, the opening sequence where we get all the characters together and we're in the future and all of that. I think there's moments of brilliance in this movie, but there's also big issues with the film in terms of pacing and stuff like that. But I think overall, the big moments outweigh the issues with like pacing and stuff. I would say Days of Future Past is in the excellent category.
Well, Eric, we're lining up pretty well so far, but you might disagree with my thing. I have this as my number one.
I don't have a problem with that.
This is my favorite X-Men
movie. For me, the First Class and Days of Future Past are interchangeable 1 and 2s for me. I don't really have a.
Yeah. Okay. Days of Future Past 1, X2 is number 2, and First Class is number 3 so far.
Okay. I thought the great thing about this movie was this was the first time we had seen a franchise try to blend 2 different eras together seamlessly. And that's why I think it wasn't perfect. There's some stuff in it that I don't think worked. But I have to give them credit for just the sheer attempt to like do what they did. And again, I like the stuff in the future. I think it's really cool. And
like, you got to realize this is something that if the MCU did it now, it would be seen as ambitious. Like this trying to like some form, like this is essentially what Secret Wars is going to be, but obviously on a bit of a larger scale, obviously, but like mixing old and new.
Yeah.
They did this in 2015, 2016, whenever it was. When was Days of Future Past? Like 2015, 2016, something like that.
I can tell you right now. I've got it.
I know the Wolverine's 2013. I know that came out in 2013.
2014. It was actually.
It came out the year after. Okay.
Yeah.
Like this is a period where pretty much you're almost getting an X-Men movie once per year.
Right, which honestly that consistency would have helped them if they would have continued doing that. Which I think the origin films were intended to come out in the off years, so I think it was supposed to be like X-Men movie, origin movie, X-Men movie,
First Class is pretty much that happened because X-Men Origins Wolverine didn't work, but we're meant to get a Magneto origin movie,
right? Which
essentially would have been a decent chunk of what First Class is.
Okay. So next up in this franchise is X-Men Apocalypse. What are your thoughts on X-Men Apocalypse?
Well, I'll tell you why I have it on my list. It's 10th out of 14.
Okay. So not very favorable, but not at the very bottom.
It has some really good. Here's the thing: both Apocalypse and Dark Phoenix, I think, have some really good stuff in them. Apocalypse more than Dark Phoenix, but it's just very messy. Like they're trying, like I've always viewed those 2 movies should have been a trilogy. Those 2 storylines should have been a trilogy where the first 2 movies are essentially the Apocalypse one, but mixed in is the whole thing happening with Jean Grey and Dark Phoenix. And your third one is the full on, she's already like, she is Dark Phoenix at that point. Like, and she's already been doing that through parts of 2.
I actually think we should have had Phoenix should have been in this film. Like we should have had that Phoenix transformation in this movie. Yeah,
and it's the biggest issue because they set that up at the end, but you're spending a lot of this movie not only trying to develop Apocalypse and tell his backstory and then his resurgence. You're trying to build up the Four Horsemen, which also includes bringing in Storm and trying to do her thing as well as those other characters. But then you're trying to focus in on Cyclops now, and like all these like they're trying to like give these new introductions to these characters. Like the best character that works outside of like I guess Professor X and Magneto is probably Quicksilver because we already met him in Days of Future Past.
I'll be honest, Quicksilver was kind of those scenes are like the shining moments in almost all the movies that they're in.
And the stuff with Magneto and Professor X and Mystique to an extent. Like some of the stuff. Anyone that was really in first
What
class,
did you think of Apocalypse in this movie though? Like what do you as a character?
They probably should have made him CGI.
Okay. Like a
Maybe
Thanos situation?
Yeah. I was going to say maybe it was too early, but this was like what 2015, 2016. Infinity War is what 2 years after this. So as I said, it's just development. It's just it's
well,
like
in the movie, you have to remember, Paige, in the movie, they actually make him bigger. They do that with CGI in the movie. So
yeah,
they could have done that.
Yeah, it's just like, as I said, I think those two movies of Apocalypse and Dark Phoenix should have just been a trilogy. I know what you would have called them. I know, like, because I know X-Men something, and then the second one was maybe X-Men Apocalypse, and the third one is Dark Phoenix. But the first and second should have been this Apocalypse storyline and showing.
Chat, are you comfortable with that in mid, or should I be moving it down? Because I feel okay putting it in mid, because I do think there's some good stuff in the movie, but I could see an argument for it to be in the bottom.
I have it 10th. I don't think it warrants being in bottom. I'd probably put it at mid because it's got some decent stuff in there. I also what's the other thing in Apocalypse I like? Oh, the Wolverine scene, the Weapon X one. That's really good, and that's like the first one, like because this was before Logan, and there's like blood.
Yeah, when they're in the facility and he's wearing the actual suit from the comic books and everything.
Yeah, like the actual Weapon X thing. That's a really good scene, and like that's where you get blood and stuff. Obviously, there's the Quicksilver scene. Actually, quick thing, which Quicksilver scene do you prefer, Apocalypse or Days of Future Past?
That's a good question. I wish I could pull them up and play them, but they both have music in them, so you can't really do that. I would say probably Apocalypse. I think
Apocalypse on its own is good, but I think when it first happened, Days of Future Past, because you didn't know it was going to happen, and then it just goes into this slow thing. But yeah, I do agree with like Darth's, and it was new in Days of Future Past, so it wasn't too much of a surprise when they did it again in Apocalypse, and they made it more like poppy and stuff with sweet.
So I'm just going to go ahead and say this, and I don't know where you have it, but this is in the bottom for me. Dark Phoenix.
I have Dark Phoenix as number 13 out of 14. It's my second.
What a fucking awful missed opportunity. And I'm going to stand by this as somebody who grew up reading X-Men comics. The biggest mistake that they do with these Phoenix movies or whatever. And Last Stand, no surprise, the Dark Phoenix storyline was also in that film. The biggest mistake that they make with these movies is they don't realize that Phoenix was Phoenix for a much longer time than she was Dark Phoenix. And that is why when she becomes Dark Phoenix, it's such a big deal.
Yeah.
And that's why it's so hard to do in movies. The Phoenix storyline, at the very least, needs to be 2 films.
Yeah, but
you have a movie with her as Phoenix and then a movie with her as Dark Phoenix. And arguably, she only needs to be Dark Phoenix for the second half of the movie.
Yeah, but do you agree with me where like that should have been a trilogy where it's somewhere it's just those 2 storylines of Apocalypse and the Dark Phoenix one? I don't know how they would have like logistically done it, but it needed to be over 3
I actually think that if they're going to make it so Jean Grey has always had the Phoenix inside of her, and that's the storyline they're going with, okay, locked into that. I don't necessarily like it, but I'm okay with them doing that. Then she should have been Phoenix in Age of Apocalypse and then turned into Dark Phoenix in Dark Phoenix. Why do we have all of that happen in Dark Phoenix instead of just giving her the powers of Phoenix to defeat Apocalypse? That would have made the most fucking sense, would have been just to make that happen before the last 5 seconds of the film. Yeah. Like, have her at some point during the movie start to experience these powers and really use them. Get the new costume, not totally understand what's going on, and then have her defeat Apocalypse as Phoenix. And then that is the beginning of the Dark Phoenix movie. And then eventually she gets consumed by the hunger of the Phoenix, and then she gets taken over by it. And then we get the Dark Phoenix storyline. At the very least, it should have been 2 films. I hate that both Phoenix movies that we got, they tried to cram it all into one movie. It just didn't make any sense to me. Yeah, look, so Ethan, this is the thing, right? This comment here. this is the part that bugged me about it. When we get to Dark Phoenix, it's like she has to get the powers all over again. You know what I mean? Like we get that in that beginning scene in
The
space. It's supposed to be a nod to her, like origin of the Phoenix Force and everything. We get that nod at the beginning of the movie, but then we just what happened at the end of Apocalypse then when we saw the Phoenix inside of her? Like what does that even mean? It was so convoluted. It was handled so poorly.
Cam says about the 2-part that apparently that was the plan, but then like they just didn't let him do it, and he had to crash, which makes you wonder like why even bother with it then.
But this is why I have a lot of hope for the Marvel Fox type X-Men movies. I mean, is I'm hoping, fingers crossed, that they look back at the Phoenix storyline and go, if we're going to do this one, we cannot make the same mistakes they made twice.
You got
twice they did it.
Yeah, you got to let it marinate,
right,
and then slow cook, and then glaze it. But yeah, I put that at second last just because I think it deserves to be there.
X-Men Origins Wolverine, bottom tier. Is that right or wrong?
I have it at 11th out of 14. I think it's better than Last Stand.
You think it's more mid than bottom?
I actually think this movie isn't that bad. I think it's if you take out the Deadpool thing, I think it's mid.
I'll be honest. That's all I'm really remembering in my mind. That's all I can see is how.
If you go rewatch the movie, there's actually some really decent stuff. Of course, the CGI is not great, and it was made during the writer strike, and they decided to push through it rather than just hold off until then. But the only thing that, to me that's really bad in the movie is its interpretation of Deadpool. I think the first half of this movie is really, really good for the most part. Well, I don't want to say really, really good, but pretty good.
So tell me what parts in the first half of the movie you like, so I can adjust.
Obviously, the stuff when it's is this meant to be like a take? Like, is it meant to be a take on X-Force or something? Like the beginning of like
I think so, yeah. With like military showing its history with all the characters,
all the different mutants. Yeah. That's great. I think that's done really well. I think the stuff with him and Sabretooth when we get to the present day and stuff, and that the opening fight with him and stuff like that.
Oh yeah. So the Sabretooth stuff was. I'm going to put this in mid. I don't think it's bottom. I do think the Deadpool stuff is shit.
I think the Deadpool stuff is really bad, but I think the stuff that's actually an origin of Wolverine and how he becomes Wolverine and gets a part of the program and stuff, and then gets the adamantium, everything. I think is it Team X, whatever. I knew it was something X. I knew it was. I wasn't. Well,
it's the weapon. It's the Weapon X program. So that's kind of what it was going. So yeah.
But I was sort of disappointed we didn't see like Liev Schreiber come back as Sabretooth, especially in the Void. I think that would have been better to have him there. Maybe he didn't want to do it. I don't know. But yeah, I thought it's just the Deadpool stuff. I think like if they didn't do that, I think this movie isn't as obviously as I said, the CGI wasn't great, but. Yeah, like even like the thing where they go in to get the adamantium, and like get the
I think Feather. I want to be very clear. The stuff with Deadpool prior to what happened to Deadpool at the end of the movie, I think had some sort of like.
And the thing is that he's there for a reason. Like I think they mention it in the movie from memory that he's there because of the cancer and stuff like that. Like he gets cancer, and that's why he goes back into the program to. Potentially get healed.
So there is some solid stuff there. It's just
the end result. And the thing is, I know there's the end credit scene where he ends up having his mouth back and stuff like that. It would have been interesting to see, but they'd already done enough. They changed him. Like he had like the actual swords that came out of his like.
And he had the optic blast from Cyclops.
Well, it was even the thing where he had like he was like a computer. Like they were typing stuff into a computer,
and he could teleport.
And he had like like cameras in his eyes or something. They could see what he was saying. There was just weird stuff. They went too far with it. I wouldn't have actually minded it if they had it where his mouth was sewn up, but then it ripped open or something and he started talking. But then again, he was like fully evil. He was brainwashed. The Deadpool stuff is really not done well at all. Outside of, I do like the fact that he can teleport because can't he teleport in the comics?
I think there's iterations of him that could. I don't know if it's like the main canon Deadpool anymore.
Okay,
I'll be honest. Everything beyond like the 90s and stuff with Deadpool, there's been so much of it. I don't really know everything.
Yeah, because I'm pretty sure there is a thing where he can teleport, and that's in the movie, and it's obviously not in the Deadpool movies, him teleporting.
I think it was technology though. I don't think it was a power.
Oh, maybe it might have been, yeah.
So anyway.
Yeah, I was 10. Oh no, 11th out of 14. Sorry.
Cody says, I know many are scared of MCU X-Men because of casting. I'm a little nervous about that as well. But I think the success of Deadpool. So I'm going to reiterate this. I think the success of Deadpool and Wolverine pretty much solidifies that Hugh Jackman will be part of the story somehow, some way moving forward. Probably in a mentor role. I wouldn't be surprised because you got to remember Wolverine is the oldest character on the X-Men. Even when they reboot in 1975, he's been around for a long time. Now, obviously he doesn't look as old as Hugh Jackman looks because of his healing factor, but this is real life and he's an actor that's older. So it wouldn't be out of the ordinary to keep Wolverine around as an older character with the rest of the X-Men. But I don't know if they're going to do it that way, or if they're just going to keep him around as a mentor character and let Laura be like the Wolverine. Do you think that's what's going to happen? That character will be Wolverine and that he'll be like the
I think
mentor Wolverine or something?
I don't know. I think they'd still want him to be Wolverine in some case but I just don't see how they can there's a couple of characters which I just don't know about them. Like I thought this is a character like Jubilee. I don't know if people are overly attached to like the Jubilee from the X-Men universe, or even Mystique to an extent. If they cast a really good actress, though Jennifer Lawrence could still play the character if they wanted to, but I think she doesn't want to. And like that was a big drama there. I think there's just a couple where like I think Cyclops is maybe one where people just go, James Marsden, but even then, but I think it's probably Professor X, just because once again James McAvoy could still play the character. Michael Fassbender could clearly still play Magneto if they wanted him to.
I mean, he could even be a more accurate Magneto as he's gotten older now. I mean, they could make him more of that.
There's some things there where I'm like, Halle Berry maybe a Storm, just because. But even then, I don't know if that's necessarily like one where like they wouldn't be able to find someone. I'm sure they would be able to. I do think it's sort of weird that the one that they've locked on outside of Wolverine is Beast. Like Kelsey Grammer is Beast. But then again, I guess he has the voice for Beast. It's not like because they're going with like a fully CGI version.
Yeah, I mean, if they're going to do like they did in the Marvels, they could just make him a CGI character like Thanos. Where it's
when I mentioned Jubilee, I just mean like the attachment to the actress that played Jubilee in the previous ones, like because she's only in one of them. I don't even think she's in Dark Phoenix. She's just in Apocalypse, I think.
Yeah.
So it's just but I think there's only like Wolverine, of course, obviously Deadpool like I guess technically you say Deadpool now. And I think with Daphne Keane, you probably just keep her as Laura because she's the age you'd probably want the character to be anyway. But I think they're better off using characters that either have people that don't really have an attachment to or just haven't been in the X-Men, really. So I don't know who that is. It like any major X-Men like that they haven't used in that core group that you'd expect to start off with, like in
the core group? Do you mean like from the films or from the comics?
So ones that either haven't appeared in films or have smaller parts in films that you'd expect to be seen as main X-Men in the MCU. So ones that you don't think people will get too annoyed by them being cast.
Havoc, I think Havoc could be recast because I know he was in the first films or whatever. But I think that he's a character that people are not necessarily attached to that actor. I don't think, and I think they could really do something interesting with that.
The only one I can think of is Angel. That's the only one where I'm like,
Angel. Look. To be very clear, Angel got more interesting when he became Archangel. Anyway, the original Angel character was just basically a playboy. He was just a rich playboy with wings. And I know that it was like they did the whole storyline with him and the Morlocks and losing his wings and all of that stuff. And yeah, you could even do that. And you could probably get an actor that could pull like the kind of emotion off that's needed for that. But ultimately, Archangel, like that character ends up becoming much more like Warren becomes much more interesting as a character once he has to struggle with that, I think personally. So, let me see here.
I'll tell you what, though, Pyro better have an Australian accent if he's going to be recast.
I'm looking at the list here. I think I'm going to shift some of these around when we're done because I think I'm thinking a couple things here. We'll see. So the Wolverine. Now, this is going to be the first one in this category for me, but I think this movie is really good. I think it's a really good movie. I think there's some interesting stuff in there that I found to be intriguing. I didn't like the way they dealt with Silver Samurai being a mech and everything. But outside of that, I really liked the whole vibe of this movie. So for me, it's really good. Would you have this mid or really?
For me, it might seem low, but I agree with you in regards to really good, because I think a lot of the top half here falls into it. But I have it at number 7.
Okay,
but I agree with you putting it in really good.
I mean, to be very clear here, I think this was the first after the blunder of the origin Wolverine movie. I think it was really good for them to kind of hone in on like the Japanese storyline with Wolverine and kind of try to give a nod to a lot of that. I honestly would have preferred Silver Samurai to just be Silver Samurai. I hated that it was a mech. I didn't really understand that. I think they were trying to capitalize on the success of the Transformer stuff. That's the only thing I can think of, because what other reason would there be for them to make Silver Samurai a mech suit? Like, it just doesn't make a lot of sense. Like, it was very Gundam for some reason. Maybe they were trying to take nods from like anime and manga with that one, but it was unnecessary. I think Silver Samurai from the comics is a character that gets overlooked a lot, and I just kind of hated that they went in that direction with them. But it is what it is. Darth Zen says action figures. Maybe that might have been the reason why. I think we had a super chat over here. Yeah, Staggervore with a $4.99 super chat. Probably an unpopular opinion, but I can see Hugh Jackman playing Deathstroke in a DC film. I don't know if I'd want that or not.
No, I think Hugh Jackman would play. I think it was like it would just be Wolverine. That's just.
I was gonna say, is he one of those actors now, like not typecast as Wolverine, but because he's played a lot, he's been in a lot of films and he's on Broadway and stuff. But I think when it comes to superhero stuff, I think he's Wolverine, right? I mean, that's kind of
Wolverine, just like how Robert Downey Jr. is Iron Man. Like, it's just like have fun, Marvel trying to recast Iron Man, because it's probably just not going to work.
Yeah.
The same with the MCU. Like, Kevin Feige's probably got the headache of it all the time. It's like, fuck, I wish this dude was 10 years younger.
Mm-hmm.
He's probably thinking that about Hugh Jackman. Please, even 5, but.
All right, so we have a poll going over here. Asked if they would keep Hugh Jackman. I typed it very quickly and misspelled his name, but if they wanted to keep him as Wolverine, and the poll says, wow, it's a little bit more down the middle than I expected. 57% said yes, 42% said no.
Gosh.
All right, well, I don't know. I don't see a problem with him as Deathstroke. I just don't know if people would accept him as Deathstroke, if that makes any sense. Let's see. All right. It's freezing up for me there. Victor says, Eric, you like Gundam. Any in particular? Is it kind of cliche to say G Gundam? That might be a little cliche. It's probably going to be everybody's answer, honestly. Or a lot of people would probably say it. Or some people are like, oh, no, that's touristy, maybe. Okay, so let's move along here. Okay, so Logan movie, Paigey, you know this is going to get me in trouble probably, right?
Yeah.
You know,
sign your will.
All right, chat. Get your pitchforks out.
Now. Hold on, I'll say where I have it now, because you're going to have the edgy take.
Tell me. All right, tell me.
I have Logan at 4th overall. Okay. Mainly because I don't like the X-24 stuff at the end. I'm not the biggest fan of that. I like everything else in this movie. I think it's perfect outside of the X-24 stuff.
I've never ever talked about this movie in detail, only in like dark, shady corners of places, because of the fact that I know people love this film. And I know there's a lot of people that say it's their favorite X-Men film out of all of the Fox films and stuff like that. I don't think it's like a 10 out of 10. And I know some people are going to be like, oh, that's heresy or whatever. I think this movie, for me personally, is 2 films smashed into one. And you have the first half of the movie that I think is extremely well done. I pretty much love from the very beginning when he's like at the gas station and he's getting in a fight and all that. Like it sort of sets the tone for the movie. And then they're hiding out with Caliban and Professor X in the desert. And they're dealing with, all these characters that we don't really know what they are and what they're doing. And they're coming in and they're attacking and all this. Like we get a really good story in the first half of the movie. And I think at a certain point when the movie switches from that to a road trip, I start to lose interest in it. And I start to feel it becomes a little bit predictable. I start to question some of the motivations in the movie, some of the logic of the comic book stuff and everything. So for me, I cannot give it a 10 out of 10 excellent. But I think the movie is really good. I think it's a good movie. But it is not my favorite. It is not a 10 out of 10. So unfortunately for me, I'm putting it in really good.
And there is The Edge. People are wondering when was The Edge going to appear. The Edge has come.
It is not excellent to me. It's just not. I'm sorry. I can't put that as a 10 out of 10. So, I mean, I think the movie suffers in the back half of the film, especially the very end of the movie. I think like the last bits of the movie they just suffer. I get it. I get why people are emotionally attached to it. Wolverine was my favorite character growing up. And I've said this many times. I've never been 100% on board with Hugh Jackman as Wolverine. I've said that. That's not new, right? But I get people's emotional attachment to him as well. And I understand that. But things will turn around. You'll see here in a few moments. The things will turn around about my opinion of Hugh Jackman as Wolverine. As we get into the Deadpool movies. Deadpool 1, excellent. Very top of the list for me.
I have Deadpool 1 at number 5. So one below Logan for me.
Yeah. I love Deadpool 1. It is an extremely rewatchable movie, in my opinion. I think it shows all of the care that Ryan Reynolds had in bringing this character to life. And I think it hits for me. I don't think there's a lot of misses in the first Deadpool movie. So do you have any issues with that? You think I should bring it down?
I think it's pretty much what they seeked out to do or aim to do. They pretty much achieved. I know the third act gets questions because I think some logic issues. Like, don't they have like a carrier, like a Navy carrier? Like, how the hell do these guys have that? But I think, but outside of that, the action's done. It wasn't done on like a massive budget either. So, yeah. Okay. And I think they also do like an origin story really well.
Yeah. So that brings us to Deadpool 2.
This might be my edgy take of the day, but I'm not too sure. This might be
I am teetering between here and here.
Oh, okay. Maybe it might not be edgy compared to.
I think Deadpool 2 is really strong. I like the additional stuff with Colossus and Juggernaut. I think Cable is really good. I'm temporarily going to put it in really good, but I can understand if people wanted to put it in mid, honestly.
For me, it probably balances on like mid to really good. I have it at number 9 on my list.
Right. I think there's some great stuff in it, but I feel like Deadpool 2 suffered from trying to live up to the first movie.
Yeah, because you got a lot of the runtime in the first one is his origin, how he became Deadpool, and it's pretty straightforward as well. While this one, I think they tried to. Maybe they had a bigger budget and stuff like that, but I just don't think it works. It's still good, but I think out of the trilogy, I think it's clearly the weakest.
Okay.
If you include Deadpool and Wolverine. Well,
we're going to talk about that in a second. New Mutants, unfortunately for me, I wanted it to be really good because I love the New Mutants, and I think magic was amazing in the film. But overall, for me, this teeters between mid and bottom, and I think it's going to land in the bottom for me.
Well, the fact that you're teetering makes me concerned because this is rock bottom for me. This is number 14.
I think it is. I mean, I was going to try and make an argument for like the magic stuff because I think that was done really well at the end of the movie. But
she's the best. She is 100% the best part of this movie. I hope that they'd look at her and bring her over to the MCU and make her magic.
Well, I mean, it's Anna Taylor-Joy, right? Isn't that
Anya Taylor-Joy? She's like amazing in it. She's one of my favorite.
Is there any shock that she was the best part of this movie though? That's the thing.
The thing is that she's so good and everything else is so boring.
Yeah.
sure, she's racist, but
Is she?
Well, she makes fun of like the Native American girl. Like she was like,
In the movie. Okay, yeah.
Oh no, not the actress, no, the character.
Yeah, I was gonna say, wait a minute. I don't remember her being racist, but
and the thing is that I remember watching the trailer. Oh, the Demon Bear is fairly cool. Demon Bear is cool, but it's a big CGI bear.
No, the third act of this movie where she gets to do a lot of her stuff is the best part of the film.
Yeah, but that's what that ties into magic.
Yeah,
but everything else is just so boring. Like just every is it Sunspots in it? Boring. The Maisie Williams character. Boring.
Well, Sunspot is controversial anyway because they cast someone that doesn't really look like the character.
Yeah, and then like the guy from Stranger Things, boring. Like everything's so boring about it. And the thing is that I remember watching the trailer and I was thinking, oh, they're going full horror with this. You watch the movie, it's like the tiniest bit of horror. And I think that's the thing they tried. I think they must have thought they were balancing it out because it's a coming of age story to an extent.
Yeah.
But it's not balanced really well at all, and it just ends up super, super boring.
Let me see if I can.
Outside of magic, she's the best. If it was a magic movie, it'd probably be a bit higher on my list. But the movie as a whole is just not very good.
Yeah,
and also like it makes you wonder, like because they have like the Essex Corporation or whatever it is, isn't it? And like you wonder, they just never. You feel like it might lead up to something bigger in the third act when it's heading to that stuff. But yeah, nothing. Really
so I just added an image on here of the poster for Deadpool and Wolverine. Okay, so this is my initial list, and Paige agrees with a lot of my choices. So I don't know how he feels about everything. Before we do our last ranking, is there anything that needs to be shifted here that you think could be moved around? Do you think the X-Men 1 movie needs to be moved into bottom, or do you think that's good where it is, or what do you think? What would you change if this was?
Well, I have X-Men 1 ranked above Deadpool 2 on my list. So
do you? Okay. All right. So you would say
I'll show my list after this. I'll bring it up on screen so you can show it.
All right. Logan needs to be put in excellent, not for me. All right. So this is the last one. We have Deadpool and Wolverine. Now I want to point this out and saying that this is not a 10 out of 10 movie for me, right? It's not a 10 out of 10 logically. As a fan, it did everything that I wanted, right? So there's not a lot that I could ask for from this movie. I think it kind of nailed all of that stuff. I think it's better than really good though. But since we only have excellent and really good, and I think Hugh Jackman won me over as Wolverine in this movie. Totally changed my opinion of him as Wolverine. Partly because I think he was given stuff that made him really shine as Wolverine. I'm going to put it in excellent for me. But it could also go in really good. For me, it floats between excellent and really good. But it's a very rewatchable movie for me. So I feel like that's where it belongs. Like I feel like excellent is like 9 out of 10 or 9 and 10s to me. And I feel like this movie, like I said, when I ranked it, I said it was like an 8.5, but 8.5 doesn't really fit into really good. You know what I mean? It's more of like whether or not it's excellent or really good. So for me, I think excellent is where I'm going to leave it for now. What do you think? Where would you put this?
I just shared my list. So I put Deadpool and Wolverine at number 6 on my list out of 14. Right.
So yours would probably be in really good then if that were the list, correct?
Well, it's just below Deadpool 1. Okay. On my list.
All right. So that is my tier list for now. We might revisit this a little bit later. So if you're watching this video on playback or whatever and you want to leave your list in the comments, feel free to do so. And now we are going to share Paige's list to see what he thinks about all of this. So here we go. So this is Paige's list, and you kind of talked about all of them in general. I think I agree with most of this. I would probably move Logan down a little bit to move up Deadpool and Wolverine. So for me, Logan would probably go to 6, and Deadpool and Wolverine and Deadpool would jump down to 4 and 5.
Ooh, interesting.
In my opinion. Other than that, I don't have an issue with the rest of your list. I think the rest of your list is
I thought you would have been triggered by X2.
No, not really. Not particularly. I said there's an argument can be made for that to go above Days of Future Past or whatever. But
do you think New Mutants should be 14th, or do you think Dark Phoenix should be 14th?
I think they're interchangeably bad, to be honest. I think that they both have the same amount of good and bad in them. So I think you can make an argument for either one. I really like Anna as Magic, and that is really the only thing that saves me for the New Mutants. But Dark Phoenix, I don't know. I guess there's some okay stuff in that too, but you know. So Feather Guardian says Last Stand needs to be higher than X-Men.
No, fuck off. No.
Why, Feather Guardian? Same goes to Origins. Wow. Holy shit. That's interesting. Is that trolling? Are you getting trolled right now?
Maybe. As I said, X-Men is I think the only one of these movies that feels dated to an extent, but I still think it's better, like, in regards
to...
The
first X-Men movie was very much a product of its time. It was very, like, post-Matrix type stuff.
Yeah, you gotta realize, like, you had Blade, and that was it.
Yeah.
It was Blade and then this.
If you don't mind me asking, what material is he given in the movie that changed your mind that wasn't given in the other movies? So we have to look at it in different blocks, because I think Hugh Jackman's Wolverine was very different in everything that he portrayed it in. So like the X-Men films in general, like 1, 2, and 3, he's kind of the same character. And it wasn't that he wasn't like, my issue had nothing to do with whether or not he was Wolverine. I think they did a pretty good job of like making him sound and act like I think Wolverine would act. But Wolverine's always been like a small, squatty, like sort of rough around the edges type guy. And there's a certain level of polish that Hugh Jackman just has as an actor that didn't lean into what I think Wolverine was when I was reading him in the comic books. So I was watching it from that perspective. Like that's why I didn't really care for it. And I also thought that not giving him his costume or any of his classic stuff was a problem. And then we come in with the X-Men or the Wolverine films individually, like the 3 Wolverine movies. And I wanted to really like the first one, but I think there's issues with that movie. I don't think it's awful. Obviously, you saw the list. But I don't think it totally nailed it. I think the second one, The Wolverine, for me, was the best iteration of Wolverine up until that point. I think that Wolverine was the one where I was like, okay, I can see this. I think this might work, right? Because there's just so much great material in there, layers and levels of that character that I think were really interesting. And then you get to Logan, and I think Logan is fine, but clearly it's like a very different version of Wolverine that wasn't like anything we've had before, like almost completely different. And so the first half of that movie, I was on board with it. And then in the second half of the movie, I'm like, you got the comic book thing. What would a border between here and Canada make any difference to a bunch of people that are already breaking the law anyway? It wasn't like there was lasers on the horizon, like shooting them as they came across the border. So I just thought that storyline was it was just stupid to me personally. So I didn't like that was the storyline they were given. And so that affected my feelings about that. I think in Deadpool and Wolverine, there's literally nothing that he does that I don't like. I think that character from start to finish is perfection. I think that is the most perfect version of Wolverine we've ever had in live action, in my personal opinion. And I think Hugh Jackman's age added that rough around the edges that I wanted from him all the way back in like the first X-Men movie. Because if you go back and you look at him, matter of fact, let me find a picture of him. If you look at Hugh Jackman in the original X-Men movie, he doesn't look rough around the edges like he does now. Let me show you here. Just my opinion. Why are all the pictures so blurry?
No, didn't they make it that it was the Canadian border because then they literally have to go across the country because they start on the Mexican border? That's why they made it the Canadian border, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, but what does distance matter? What difference does that make? Why would that be why would that be easier for children than it would be for adults? Like,
well, I think it's just mainly for the sake of the plot, and then it becomes that.
That's what I mean. It was a plot driven thing that I just didn't make a lot of sense to me. It would be one thing if this like place was protected and they had mutants there protecting, you know, people that were coming across, but I didn't see any of that.
Well, you know what, the one thing I read about Logan was that apparently the opening of the movie was going to be the Westchester incident. And you're going to see the mutants get killed by Professor X.
Yeah, I heard.
Do you think that would have been a better opening, or do you think they were better leaving that out and just making it alluded to, and we just stay in the present moment?
You know, I don't know. You know,
I think people are still curious on which X-Men died.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I'm not questioning the reason why, in the sense that it was a better place for mutants to be and a safer place for these characters to be. My thing is, there was no sort of protection for them, if that makes any sense, right? Like, what was stopping them from literally going there and wreaking havoc? They were already criminals. These people were already committing crimes. I didn't see any reason for them to have to go there specifically that made sense to me. Like, I just didn't. I mean, yeah. Okay, so here's a picture of Hugh Jackman back then. It's all of them are low res. I can't find anything. There's a full shot of him. That just doesn't scream Wolverine to me. It didn't. Like, the haircut wasn't right. The build isn't right. Like, I very much wanted fidelity from the comics, and I wasn't getting it. You know, I wasn't getting it from them. You know, that's it. Look wise. Cam, I understand that you're trying to convince me otherwise, but you're not. I've thought about this for a very long time. There's nothing. No offense to you. There's nothing that you could say to me that hasn't already been said about my opinions on the road trip stuff. I don't like the road trip stuff. Period.
Yeah, Eric, that's true. Eric did prefer the one in the axe throwing bar. He wanted that version of Wolverine.
Yeah, that was the one I wanted, 100%.
That's the one Eric wanted all along.
Yeah.
Played by Hugh Jackman, so just CGI
right
down Hugh Jackman.
I want hashtag Henry Cavill for Wolverine. So I'll be honest, Newswire, there's no one that has been fan casted that I like. I think I'm unpleasable with a Wolverine cast.
You gotta remember, Hugh Jackman was unknown when he got cast as Wolverine back in the day. Like, you don't think about it now, but that was his first American role, I think.
Yeah. I think they're going to have to go with somebody relatively unknown, and I don't know if they're going to do that because this is Wolverine we're talking about. So I'm pretty sure they're going to be courting.
Funnily enough, Henry Cavill does work, but you don't know if it works in the actual proper thing. Like, can he act like it? Like, he says like one line. He says like, "You're going home now," or something, or "It's time for you to go home," or something. Yeah. Whatever he says. Like, you don't know if that would really work in a longer sense. And also, Henry Cavill's like, what, 6'2" or something, 6'3". I think he's even taller than Hugh Jackman. So Eric might have an aneurysm if that happens.
I don't know.
Like,
it was more about the build than the height. Hugh Jackman just never. Wolverine as a character has broad shoulders and he's got a triangle-shaped body. And as a kid, I latched onto that character. So for me personally, it is going to be hard for them to find someone that I think fills everything that I'm looking for.
Is that because you're small, Eric?
I'm like 5'9". What are you talking
about? I'm pretty sure you're 5'2". Last time I checked.
Yeah. So I'm not expecting them to ever get the casting right. I will be shocked if the casting for Wolverine makes me happy. But I'm okay with that. Like, I'm not gonna be like mad.
Do you have any fan cast for X-Men? Like, one where you're like, I think that actor is the perfect fit for that character. I only have one.
Okay, go for it.
And it's if they recast Magneto, it's Jason Isaacs. Because it's only because, like, I think he'd be able to play it, and he has the look to play, in my opinion, but he also has the backstory to play it in real life. Like both of his parents are Jewish. He moved, like they grew up in England where he was like abused for being Jewish and stuff like that.
Right.
So it sort of like fits in with the storyline for Magneto.
Mm.
But I don't know, like I don't even know if like I think you have to, like, do you think if they do Magneto, especially in the present day, and they make him a bit younger, do you think they still have to keep him Jewish? I think you sort of have to. But then again, like I know they did the whole thing with Doctor Doom, so who knows what they'll do.
I don't know. I have no idea. I honestly don't. But I will say it will be easier for them to find an actor who is Jewish to play Magneto, like a big actor, than it would be fine to find a Romani actor to play Doctor. Because we look through the list, there isn't a ton of them in Hollywood. So I don't really have a fan casting, and I don't have anybody in mind. Like, I honestly, if in a perfect world, they would look to actors who are not A-list actors and have them come in, try out for the role, so we get a bunch of like fresh faces as characters.
To be fair, Marvel's been doing that of recent anyway. Like
yeah, they have 100%.
Simu Liu for Shang-Chi.
Yeah,
you think it even like with Miss Marvel, like they were casting like some younger actresses who are already like in stuff, and then they cast like whatever her name is for Miss Marvel,
right? Which is why I don't think, like, if I were to say drop a name of somebody that I saw in like an indie film or something like that, people may not know who that is. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like I might say, oh, well, this is this person or whatever. Like whenever you're doing a fan casting, people want to hear like big names. And I don't have any big name people that I would want to see as Wolverine. Because let's be fair here, very short actors they're not very common in Hollywood. So
yeah.
Plus, I think they're gonna go younger for most of these characters, to be honest. All right, so I have one more clip here we're going to watch, and then we'll probably just wrap it up. So this is an interview from James Gunn that people are getting mad about, and I thought we should listen to it and just see what he has to say here, because was that an exasperated sigh there at that point? But let's see what he has to say.
What's he saying here?
Superman.
Yeah, so I think people are saying this is very controversial. So I haven't watched the whole thing. So let's see what he says.
For me, there's Superman and Clark Kent. Like they're two different characters, and you have to find a way to deal with them that's as grounded as possible within this world of DC. One of the things I love about DC and excites me about DC is that in a way it's another alternate history. It is Gotham City and Metropolis and Star City. And
so far 30 seconds into this clip, and he's not saying anything that's wrong. I mean, Superman, the difference between Superman and Clark Kent is we're talking about the difference between somebody who came from Kansas, a small town guy who has to play that role, but then is also the most powerful superhero in the world. So there is a big split and divide between them, but at the core you have to find that balance where the two things meet together as Superman, which I think a lot of people, that's the issue with a lot of iterations of Superman, is finding that balance. So I don't see an issue with that, and also don't have a problem with him talking about like the fictional worlds and an alternate history for us, right? None of that sounds odd yet.
Yeah, but you might have to finish it.
No, it is an old interview, but it's circling now. Like people are cycling it through social media because look, let's not pretend that this is not what people do. They go back and they dig up old interviews and they clip it and they try and frame it as if somebody's saying something negative. So that's what's happening here, is that this is cycling through now as if it's brand new. And so I was wondering what it was he was going to say here that's controversial.
Bloodhaven and all these different places in this other reality, and it makes it a little bit like Westeros in some ways. I love that about it. I love that we get to create true world building in DC. It isn't just we're throwing some superheroes on Earth.
Yeah. I like that.
So I think that right now,
you think that was like somebody thinks he's throwing shade at Marvel by doing that? Is that what they think it is? Maybe he's still not wrong. He's still not wrong about this.
Yeah, but he's also hasn't, like, I don't know what this is leading up to. Like, it's just Like I don't even know necessarily what he's saying.
Yeah, I know. I mean, right now he's just talking
just
about
saying
world building and stuff like that. And look, it is true. Like there are, when you talk about Central City, there are things that are unique to Central City. There's things unique to Metropolis that we don't have in New York or whatever. But I don't think he's saying that is a negative. He's like, this is the ideas that, or when people try to frame things, it's like, just because somebody says something positive about a thing that they're involved in or they're working on, that doesn't mean that there's something wrong with the other way. You know what I mean? It's just, he's excited about doing something different and unique. Instead of using New York, they're using another fictional city. Again, nothing controversial yet. Let's continue.
Now that's one of the key differences.
What's your favorite Marvel movie besides Guardians?
MCU or Marvel?
Both.
My favorite MCU movie is Iron Man.
The original.
Yes.
Love it.
I think it's an incredibly great movie.
Okay, I want to say this. That's an easy answer, right? Because that movie,
because it's like you can give some pretty easy answers, old reasons as to why.
I mean, think about it. Like Iron Man. That's like, if you don't want to argue with people, you just say Iron Man, because I don't think anybody's going to disagree with you that's a top movie for Marvel. You know what I mean? Like, it would be different if he was like the Eternals.
Eternals.
Right, yeah. Like if you would have picked
the
the movie that's divisive, then you could have had a conversation. But saying Iron Man is so like, everybody's going to say that. Like, I don't know anybody that doesn't like Iron Man 1. It is literally the easiest one. Like that or the Avengers. Like if you say, I like the Avengers, you know what I mean? Like nobody's going to argue with you on that one. Okay. Let's see what he says here.
But my favorite Marvel movie is probably Deadpool, which
really,
well, actually,
it's like, James, give us be a little edgy here. How is any of this controversial? There's got to be a shoe drop somewhere. Right? Okay.
He must say a slur at the end. Like that must be dropped or something. Just slurs it up in the final 20 seconds.
Right. Here we go.
Like, no, my favorite Marvel movie is Into the Spider-Verse.
People love that movie. Yeah, everybody loves that movie.
It's great.
I haven't seen it.
Yeah. You haven't seen it?
Okay, so again, another movie that I don't think you're going to get any arguments from anybody on that one. Like, what the fuck? Okay.
Spider-Verse?
I know. I'm going to see it.
Oh, dude, it's the best superhero movie ever made.
Really?
I think so.
You love it that much?
I do love it.
DC, favorite movie of all time. DC movie.
First Superman. I mean, it's
look behind you.
How is this controversial? That's pretty much the entire clip.
It's like safe, the interview. He doesn't say
signed by Gene.
Everything's like a safe answer.
I mean,
I don't know where the only thing I can see is that like it's like people are trying to say it's a jab at.
Yeah. Someone said that to me, and they're like, "This is going to be really controversial. It's already all over Reddit." And I'm like, "Okay." So I only watched the first like 30 seconds of it. I'm like, "Okay, it's got to be juicy, right?" We get to the end of that, and I'm like, "What the fuck?" It's like telling someone that you like pizza, or
the only
you like
thing I can see that
burger
people
or something
try and present as controversial or dramatic or a bit of drama is them saying, "Oh, he's jabbing Marvel," or even to an extent Snyder by saying like the world. It's not really world building. It's almost just placing it in real world situations.
I mean, maybe that was the whole clip, the minute and 40 second clip. That is the whole clip that was.
The only thing I can think of is that people are bringing this up, so then when Superman comes out, they can go, "Well, did you really do too much world building?" Because, but to be honest, from the set photos and stuff, it almost feels like he's doing almost like what Fantastic Four is doing, which is weird that they're coming out so close to each other, and it looks like they're designed like it's almost like a retro.
Do you think Fantastic Four moves? Do you think it gets pushed back?
Well, it depends on their production. The thing is that people forget that this movie's been in development for ages. It's just now they're getting around to filming it. So it's not like Superman where, like, sure, Superman's not coming out until 2025, but it's not like it was like been in development for ages.
If he wants to fight for his life, he can say he likes Captain Marvel.
Yeah,
but
like
if you look at
the Superman set photos and stuff, they're going. It's not as retro futuristic as Fantastic Four. That's going like full on retro futuristic, like Jetsons or something like that. But like he's going for like retro futuristic in the style of like the comics and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. But even then, like the only thing that's really pointing at it too much is the clothes that people are wearing. Like they have, like there's some stuff where you can tell that like this technology. That's the only issue I have though. If it feels corny, that's the only thing I'm worried about. it's fine, but stuff doesn't translate to live action a lot of the time well, and I'm worried it's going to be like technologically advanced, but not in like the way that like Fantastic Four might be. That's the only thing I'm worried about. Is that because there's no like I don't think there's any shots of like people using a mobile, like a cell phone or anything like that. But then there's like tech, like fast trains and stuff, like electric trains.
Okay, so I have an idea. This is interesting. Feather Guardian brings this up here. Should we do a ranking of all of the Marvel movies? Like all of them. Everything that's came out live action.
I think the first Fantastic Four is a lot of fun. The second one is pretty shit, but Silver Surfer is really good.
That's what I agree with you. I think everybody would agree that Silver Surfer was the only, like, the battle with him against Human Torch is amazing. So, like, yeah, love that. John says that would take a very long time, maybe. So yeah, the retrofuturistic thing, what Malcor says here, yeah, that's, I think, honestly, okay, so I think both Superman and Fantastic Four First Steps, which I don't like that title. I don't like that title.
I have to ask, like, did they, so like what was, I'm just having a look at movie titles. So the Fantastic Four, no movie's been called Fantastic Four.
Right.
So hold on, just let me have a look.
It makes me wonder if it's a branding thing like the Spider-Man.
Okay, here we go. So 2005, the movie was called Fantastic Four. 2015, the movie was called Fantastic Four or Fan Four Stick. The only movie that's been called The Fantastic Four is the one that wasn't released from the mid-90s.
Which never really got a full release. That was for them to hold on to the trademark, basically.
So why are we not just calling it The Fantastic Four? There's no movie that was released called The Fantastic Four. It's just all Fantastic Four.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't understand. Like I saw First Steps and like it feels like, you know, when people make like a nice meal and then they just put heaps of like parsley or whatever it is on like or cilantro. They just put cilantro on everything. It's like, fuck, you just ruined it.
Yeah.
Take it off. Or they just put like an absorbent amount of cheese on it. Like, bro, you don't need the cheese. Too much cheese.
It's like extra shit. Why are you putting like pineapple? Why are you putting pineapple?
Or you see people when they buy like a burger and then they get like what's that, Raising Cane's, and they get like, what are you fucking doing? Just eat the thing.
Yeah. Why are you putting salad dressing on it?
Yeah. Why are you dipping your hand in that tub of mayo, Eric? It's not my hand, he says.
I think so. Anthony says First Step is a better title. I don't know if I agree with that.
We're gonna have to have a conversation, right?
So Cody says it's because Franklin is possibly in the movie. I'm waiting for the spoilers of Franklin Richards to be.
Well, so they're saying First Steps like the baby. We're gonna see a baby take his first steps, and what first step like as in like moon landing type of stuff.
I think it's a double entendre type thing. So Matt says, James has said several things that seem like jabs at Marvel, but there's no real Marvel versus DC thing going on. Look, I will be the first to say this. If we're ever going to get a crossover of Marvel and DC, it's going to be because of James Gunn.
By the way, quickly on James Gunn, before I forget, because it'll bleed out of my brain. I'm 99% sure James Gunn isn't in this job in 8 to 10 years.
You mean by time this whole phase of movies is over?
I think he keeps saying that he's had this plan for an 8 to 10 year universe. And then James Gunn had his 58th birthday yesterday. So by the end of that, he's going to be like mid to late 60s by the time that this apparent plan comes out. And I wonder whether that was his pitch to Warner Brothers. Like, hey, I don't have this thing for this like endless universe where we're just making a shit up at the end. I have this plan for an 8 to 10, you know, because obviously like things can change around in regards to maybe adding a couple movies here or there or delays or whatever it is. And I think that might have been how he got the job.
Yeah, so look, yours truly says, didn't he recently say he won't necessarily be around after the first phase is done? I've been saying for a while, I don't understand how, like, as a director and a producer now, I guess, of stuff, how is he going to do anything other than DC? How is he going to find the time to do that?
Like, do you want the shocker? James Gunn's 58, turned 58 yesterday. How old do you think Kevin Feige is?
Mid-50s?
51.
Oh, so he's really young.
He's almost 10 years younger than
James I say
Gunn.
really young. He's really young in the terms of like Hollywood.
In comparison to his career, like the MCU's been around for like what?
20
over
years.
15
now.
years. Like what? 2008?
30 years, 45 years.
Well, he
now,
was involved with the original X-Men movie and the original Spider-Man movies as well. So he's been around for ages.
He was directing from the womb, so he's been around for
or producing from the womb.
Yeah, it's true. He's been around for a long time. Yeah, he's been in the industry for a while. So, like, if you look at him, like, he could retire in 10 years and be very happy. You know what I mean? Like,
well, I'm just saying, like,
years old, I'm out. I'm done with Hollywood.
That's what like Feige has, like, potentially another 10, 15 years, potentially, like, to where Gunn would be. Well, he's going to have 18 years in regards to age, to where Gunn's going to be by the time, like, roughly that there's things ending. So I'm just wondering, like, if that's the plan. I'm wondering if maybe that's why he's made these weird castings, like Kumail Nanjiani as Booster Gold, who is bordering 50 himself for a character that most people would expect to be in his mid 20s to mid 30s at the latest. So I'm wondering if that's the point around some of the weird castings, is that it's not really going to matter, and they're not meant there for like a supreme or extreme amount of longevity, where like Iron Man was there for like 10, 12 years or whatever it is.
Anthony.
Oh yeah, but if actually I have to ask you, what are your thoughts on that Kumail Nanjiani rumored casting as Booster Gold? The Gun is yet to shut down.
Okay. Is it still rumored at this point?
It's still rumored, but Sholo Marijuana, who plays Booster Gold, said that he is going to be Booster Gold. Yeah, Blue Beetle. Sorry, he said he is Booster Gold in an interview, but at the same time, I haven't seen an actual quote of it. It's just that someone said they talked to him and he said that.
Okay, let me give you how I feel about it, and then like my overall thoughts on it. So my personal feeling is, I'm not attached to Booster Gold, so I don't really care who plays that character, to be honest. Like in terms of
well, can I just say
what direction they want to go?
A lot of the people that have written Booster Gold and long runs, like so I can't remember the guy's name. I saw on Twitter. He got invited by James Gunn to go to the Superman set. He pretty much said James Gunn cast to shoot Booster Gold on Twitter. He said, like, this is not a good casting. It doesn't fit the character anymore.
Yeah. I mean, but yeah, and I understand that. I'm saying for me personally, though, I'm not attached to, like, I'm attached to Wolverine. You know what I mean? So I'm going to have a bigger opinion about, like, Wolverine overall.
And Twinkies, yeah.
I'm not Tim Tams. I'm not super attached to Booster Gold, but I know some people are. Some people love Booster Gold. He's not really my vibe. Like, it's not a character that I'm drawn to, but I know some people like him, right? So I get that. I do like the actor. Like, I think the actor is good. So I don't have an issue with him.
Yeah. The biggest issue with it is it a horrible casting? No, I don't think it's horrible. Is it good? No, I don't think it's good in any way, shape, or form outside of the comedic elements that you probably need with Booster Gold. I think people think Booster Gold is just one note where he's just silly. No. There is some nuance to the character, especially in regards to him adapting to being a superhero and understanding and character growth. Yeah. And that's where I don't think Kumail Nanjiani would be able to get anywhere near what's needed.
So you think that the casting is like, oh, he's just going to be falling around?
He's going to be funny. They're going to make him just full on comedy with no character growth.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, apparently there's a rumor that Ryan Gosling is going to be doing something Marvel related. So I don't think he's going to be connected to. Like I hear he's again, scoopers, take all of this with just like the lightest possible weight you can, but apparently they really want him as Ghost Rider. So,
and also it's very important to remember Booster Gold was a football player in the comics. You couldn't pay me fucking $1 million to convince me that Kumail Nanjiani played football.
Yeah. So look, so in that way, I'm not, to answer your question, I don't really care about who was cast as Booster Gold, as long as they're good as Booster Gold.
It depends on the angle. That's why, like, if they're just going like full on comedy, there's no real, and he's just meant to be silly, essentially. Yeah. But then you wouldn't give him his own show. That's the only thing. That's the only thing that makes me question it. Is that if you're going to give someone a show, usually that means there's some development and growth beyond that.
I think the second part of that for me is, I don't think the public is going to react favorably to this. Like, when I say the public, I mean the bubble of the internet that we exist in. I think it's going to be a lot of people that are not going to like it. And I heard some people saying this is like, Marvel went a little sideways with their Wonder Man series, casting someone other than like the representation of the race of the character in the comics. And so they wondered if that's why they're doing Booster Gold as someone who doesn't look like the character from the comics. I don't know if that's true. Like, I don't know if they sit around in the casting department and go, well, Marvel did this, so we have to do that. I don't know if they do that or not. I don't think that's a good way to run business. So I don't think that's how they're doing it. But I don't know. Were they allergic to casting just like a blonde white guy for this role? I don't know.
I don't
if
know.
they're like
Just to rebuttal Malcor, he is. That's the thing in the comics. He's a guy that played football and got that whole. He was meant to be this football star and got it ripped away from him. So he ends up in this deadbeat job and is this quote unquote loser in regards to what he wants to be. He wants to be famous, and he thought he was going to be a famous football player. That gets ripped away from him, so he becomes this like job that he doesn't want, and that's why he becomes Booster Gold, because he is a loser now that wants to be famous. So he steals technology to become famous and come back to the past to do it.
and he's like at a certain point in the comics, he's wearing a million different corporation logos on his clothes.
That's how it became like a walking advertisement board and get endorsement deals like he would as an athlete, but he does it as a superhero.
Right. I mean, he's kind of the blueprint for what The Boys is, honestly, because The Boys are like corporate superheroes, and that's really what Booster Gold was before.
Well, yeah, he runs under.
Wait, I mean, he was wasn't he like the first quote unquote like corporate superhero in the comics?
He has, he has the company and stuff. He runs it like a business, and he has like that. Then I'd assume that they'd include that in the show. He has like a secretary and everything. He has a manager. Like he has a manager in the comics and stuff. So I'd assume they put that in the show. And that's why I think if it is Kumail Nanjiani, they're just going to go for the full-on silly option with minimal, like at least minimal, like proper character growth with like where he'd have to be serious, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because I just can't see him doing it. Like he's just a comedy actor. And he also pretty much he's just himself. He's almost like, you know, I've been talking about Pedro Pascal. He just plays Pedro Pascal.
Yeah.
He's sort of in there. He just plays himself. He's not really a character actor. Yeah, they made Booster Gold. Legends did, and he played golf. Booster Golf. Except we didn't really know what they were going to do with his character.
It's kind of weird though, because it makes me wonder, and I guess it's not really a problem, but I mean, casting somebody that was already a Marvel superhero
and still like, in limbo, like Feige said the Eternals are going to.
I was trying to see. That's actually what I was looking up is the news about the Eternals. They just basically said that they might have those characters somewhere else, but they're not planning on doing a movie sequel or whatever.
Yeah,
but he was already playing Kingo in the Eternals, so I don't understand.
But I'm pretty sure Feige said that those characters are going to come back. They'll probably be in both of those Avengers movies, or at least one. Yeah. I do like. I think whatever his name is, Sean William Scott. I think I did love the fan casting of him as Guy Gardner. That was like perfect in my opinion. But I don't mind the Booster Gold. Everyone keeps saying Glenn Powell, but I don't think he would have.
Glenn Powell's made it very clear he doesn't want to be in a superhero movie, though.
Yeah, at least for now, he's in his like I'm the star sort of thing. So until
I'm the next Tom Cruise /
so until he needs a big paycheck, I don't think we'll probably see him do anything. Yeah. I think the only thing he said he'd do is Batman, and I don't think he fits Batman. So
no, not at all.
And also, have you seen that debate since the Deadpool and Wolverine thing that all these characters have to have wide eyes? When the Wolverine mask, in my opinion, sort of proved why the wide eyes don't work unless you're fully covered. I didn't like the wide eyes with Wolverine.
Yeah. I mean, they work on like Deadpool and Spider-Man, but that's because
their face is fully covered. Yeah. It's like that's where the emotion is. But it looked weird. I didn't hate it, but it's just like I'd prefer, especially with Batman. Like Batman, like half of like not half, but like a good amount of what makes it a bit scary is.
I mean, there are comic book iterations of Batman where his eyes are out. Like it's not every single.
And people don't realize that in like animation, there's a reason that they make it wide eyes, so they don't have to draw pupils looking places. Like it's a bit of a hack.
Yeah. Anyway, I think we're going to wrap it up. So I think the next stream we do, we're going to do another ranking, but I'll have to figure out what it is. I kind of like the idea of ranking the Marvel movies, but should we go back and like rank the DC films?
Well, I was thinking that, and then maybe we'll rank Olicity moments, rank West Allen moments.
Chad, tell us what franchises you want us to rank. Like, should we rank seasons of the Arrowverse now that we are beyond like?
No, we've got to we'll rank ships. So Olicity, West Allen,
ranking ship, baby.
What was your favorite one? I don't know. By the way, someone said that Andy Muschietti's following Glenn Powell. They're following each other, but they also James Gunn, Andy Muschietti, and someone else also followed Catherine McNamara.
Ooh. This
on
one might be
Instagram.
good. Star Wars. That might be fun to rank.
That sounds edgy.
So Captain Mac, who would she play in the new DCU? Do you think?
Everyone keeps saying because Andy Muschietti followed her and he's doing Batman Brave and the Bold that she's playing Barbara Gordon.
Oh, Victor says Eric's best dance moves. I mean,
ooh, chalk, twerk, cheeks out.
I might do Teach Me How to Dougie.
Floss.
Teach Me How to Dougie.
What was the other one? The Millie Rock. What was the other one that you did?
I don't know. You tell me.
What's the fucking dance that you did?
The Gritty.
Gritty, that's it. That's not number one. That was horrible.
The Gritty was the best one ever.
I'm sure there's a clip out there of you doing the fucking Gritty. That was not good.
No, the Gritty was great. What are you talking about?
Oh, did you do a thong song dance? Why do you keep asking me if I hate Tom Holland's? You ask that every week. Is it because I made that one joke about Zendaya pegging him, and that was
there we go. Like Matt says he would like to see the ship ranking, I guess. That's so stupid.
No, that was a joke, Matt, so please don't get too attached to that hypothetical video.
Did you see? Okay, this is a good way to end this, Paigey. So they retitled the Bye 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 video on YouTube as From Deadpool and Wolverine. Did you see that?
Yeah, and they did the same to
Hilarious.
Like a Prayer. I think Like a Prayer happened to it as well.
Yeah. I actually have a remix of Like a Prayer I played this weekend. The Hoedown Gritty.
Hoedown Gritty. Was that when you took your pants off? Or was that the...
What are you talking about?
Wait, sorry, that was the OnlyFans stream, my bad.
Yeah. All right. Start that one.
We could do... It wouldn't be good with Eric unless he does a gay version, but top 10 Arrowverse simping moments.
Simping moments?
Yeah, we'll do woke version.
Wait. It's like we have to do two different categories, like two different tier lists. So
Eric's favorite gay moments.
Only Paigey fans. No, definitely not. We're not going to do that.
Would you do top 10 Arrowverse gay moments? Is it? I guess it's a lot of.
I don't even know what that would be. Like, what would that even look like? I mean, the show had so many things on it. Like, so.
Were there any male to male gay couples on the Arrowverse?
A
lot of females,
chief, right? The police.
Oh yeah. Sing. That's right. But that was like most of it. Yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah.
We'll save that for Pride Month next year. We can rank every Superman from a TV series from the 90s cartoon to Superman and Lois.
Hey, were they gay? Were Barry and Oliver gay? That's incest, though.
What?
Well, I guess, but they weren't actually twins, though.
Wait, what are we talking? Are you reading a comment that I didn't read? I'm like, what are you talking about?
Someone said Barry and Oliver as the Trigger twins.
So South Texas Shark, there's actually a couple of videos I found out there that we watched before that have like a bunch of like moments from the after party. I'll try and find them and I'll share them on social media.
I'd love to get your perspective on when I said that and what you would think.
Oh, whatever. Yeah. So, okay, that's a good idea. So after Superman and Lois season 4, we will re-rank the Arrowverse and Arrowverse adjacent shows. That makes sense. Yeah, look. What is it? Who I want to give credit to who said this. Yeah, Curtis. Paulatina said Curtis.
Oh yeah, Curtis was gay. I forgot about that.
Pied Piper.
Oh yeah, he was gay.
Yeah.
But there was a lot of like they were gay, but they weren't gay. Like they didn't have like there wasn't like the gay relationship, if that makes sense. I guess with Curtis it was a bit more.
Well, you know what's funny to me is the shows. This is funny you bring this up, and we're gonna have to go after this, but the shows, like when it came to like the gay characters, except for Supergirl, because they had like a full-on like lesbian relationship in that one. But as far as the other shows, it's like the gay characters didn't really get big shipping moments. It was always like everyone else.
Legends did. With Sarah and
Yeah, but I'm talking about the men, the guys.
Oh,
like,
sorry. Yeah.
Just there wasn't a lot of that in there. So anyway, all right, we're gonna head out. Thank you guys so much for hanging around. I don't know if we're gonna get any think anything's going to get chopped out of this one. I don't think we did anything. We didn't watch any trailers. Wasn't too edgy. But if you don't want to watch the whole thing and you just want to watch the ranking tier list, that will go up tomorrow as a clip out of the video. I'm going to clip that out. So
were they gay?
Who?
Ray and Captain Cold. They weren't gay. Ray had a wife, didn't he?
The Ray?
Oh, the Ray. I thought you took a Ray Palmer.
No. The
Sorry,
Ray.
The Ray. Sorry, we got to put
Anyway.
there. Is it emphasis when there's another
Anyway,
character?
see everyone later. Have a good night. Bye.